Father, 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 my handsome father, come and see. At the southern foothills of the Tianma Mountains, three little bundles of joy, their voices soft and milky, echoed across the hillside. Under the big tree in front of the cave-dwelling Long Che was dozing off on a reclining chair. Awakened by the children's calls, his eyes snapped wide open. Their three toddlers, no more than 3 years old, were straining with all their might, dragging a silver-scaled python over 7 or 8 zhong long toward him. As they walked, they excitedly called for their father to come see, as if they had accomplished something monumental. The enormous python was utterly disproportionate to their tiny frames, looking extremely precarious, as if they might be crushed at any moment. Long Che was astonished, rubbing his forehead in disbelief. They actually did it. Before his nap, the three little ones had been pestering him to take them to the Demon Lake to fish, going so far as to wheedle and coax. Long Che had said the Demon Lake was fraught with danger, and a great demon was about to undergo tribulation, likely triggering celestial anomalies. Absolutely forbidden. Moreover, these three children were not his own. If any danger befell them, he would not be able to explain it to their... Although he had no idea who their parents were after all these years, he still had to act as a proper elder. After all, the children were innocent. But the three little ones declared they feared nothing, and the more they were forbidden, the more they insisted on going. So Long Che made an excuse: if they could capture the silver-scaled giant python alive from the snake forest, he would agree. In his eyes, this was utterly impossible. 3 milk-scented toddlers tackling a deadly python. Well, of course, he didn't dwell on it. With the guardian spirit beasts nearby, he could safely nap. Yet before his nap even ended, the three had already hauled the python over. The key point was that this silver-scaled python's combat prowess was extraordinary. Even peak Xianshi realm cultivators needed several working together to capture it. Yet these 3 innocent children had managed to subdue it, and the python's listless aura and torn flesh clearly indicated it had been severely mauled by them. My children, father thinks you are terrifyingly strong. Long Che rose from his recliner, waved his hand, and a stream of mystic chi materialized into a giant arm that grabbed the python and tossed it onto the grass nearby. Soon a little hedgehog crawled out from a pile of gravel at the cave entrance. It looked at the python, waddled over, bowed to Long Che and the 3 children, then suddenly shuddered. An invisible wave of energy surged out, transforming into a giant hedgehog phantom that bit the silver-scaled python's head and began crunching loudly, eating it like a spicy stick. Hey, little hedgehog, go eat somewhere else. Long Che grimaced at the bloody scene and waved his hand in disgust. The little hedgehog grabbed the spicy stick and scurried away in a flash. Little hedgehog is such a glutton, and he eats so much. Father, aren't we awesome? Awesome. My children are awesome. Father, you're praising yourself. Haha, don't mind the details. Then father, we've completed the task. You must keep your word. All right. Daddy will take you. Right now. Long Che had no more excuses and had to squeeze out time to play with the 3 little rascals. Before leaving, he looked at the 2 distant golden tombs shrouded in restrictive arrays, still a bit uneasy, and poured 3,000 mystic spirit pills into the array. The Tianma Mountains. They were the mountain gate of the superpower Demoness sect in the eastern region of the Tianxian dynasty on the Tianxian continent. Yet stretching 10,000 li to the southern foothills, they became a barren wilderness where even birds seldom visited. This place was rarely visited by humans throughout the year, completely neglected. Even Long Che, as a menial disciple guarding the mountain of the Demoness sect, only saw others a few times each year. Either the sect assembly came down to deliver notices, or a disciple brought monthly pay. Later, the monthly pay became rarer and eventually ceased altogether. A mere mountain guarding menial could hardly be considered a true disciple of the Demoness sect, practically a forgotten corner. Of course, Long Che cared nothing about such matters. As the peerless divine lord, a terrifying existence roaming myriad realms, he would never bother with such trivialities. 300 years ago, he swept across the 6 directions, single-handedly becoming the peerless divine lord of the Tianxian continent, unrivaled in the world. Later, he stormed into the immortal realm and obtained the ancient divine artifact, the soul-chasing lamp, from the bottomless immortal abyss. Then he vanished without a trace. When he reappeared, he was already an inconspicuous menial disciple guarding the mountain of the Demoness sect. This place, in the southern foothills of the Tianma Mountains, was his homeland and the burial ground of his parents. He returned here to use the soul-chasing lamp to resurrect his parents. This was the only obsession in his heart after becoming the supreme powerhouse. As for the 3 little ones, he had no idea who abandoned them here. One morning 3 years ago, at the entrance of the forbidden barrier sealing the hundredly barren mountain, the guardian black dog rushed over in panic, holding 3 swaddled bundles in its mouth. Inside the bundles were 3 little babies sucking on pacifiers. He immediately used a tracking technique to find the person who abandoned the babies, but every trace of aura had completely vanished. Clearly, it was premeditated. With no other choice, he temporarily took the swaddled infants and hoping the heartless person might regret it and come back, at which point he would return them. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. The children were now 3 years old. Long Che vaguely felt that these 3 children seemed exceptionally gifted. People of the Tianxian continent develop mystic meridians at the age of 3, which can store mystic qi, the foundation for all cultivators to embark on the path of martial arts. However, Long Che naturally didn't pay much attention to the children's training since they were so young and might leave the mountain at any time. They couldn't stay with him forever. Moreover, his heart was set on resurrecting his parents. Since he secluded himself here, he spent most of his time each day forging the Nirvana golden body for them. The golden light cascading over the tombs was the Nirvana golden body array operating day and night. And the day of his parents' resurrection, as he had calculated, was not far off. At such a critical moment, he could hardly divert his attention elsewhere. That is not to say he neglected the children's care. On the contrary, over these 3 years, he had been both father and mother, from swaddling to toddling, and now to running all over the mountain. He had long regarded the 3 little ones as his own children, caring for them meticulously. He even doubted whether he was still the peerless divine lord who dominated all realms. Yet unexpectedly today, the 3 little ones had given him such a big surprise. The silver-scaled giant python was extraordinarily powerful. If not for the aid of his spirit beasts, it would have proven that these 3 were exceptionally talented. So on the way to the demon lake, Long Che casually beckoned. A giant head emerged from the depths of the void. A divine beast began hiding in a concealed space. Master, your humble servant is here. Did the 3 little ones really capture that silver-scaled python by themselves, eh? To answer, Master, it was indeed the 3 young masters who did it. None of us divine beasts lent a hand. Hearing this, Long Che furrowed his brow. Are you telling the truth? Truly, absolutely true. Master, how would I dare lie before you? Long Che frowned. Of course these divine beasts wouldn't dare lie to him, or they'd end up as soup. But this talent was truly extraordinary. As he spoke, he looked at the 3 little ones running ahead. You 3 rascals, slow down. Wait for your dad. Baiji Zisu Chonglo, wait for daddy. The peerless divine lord had become a full-fledged dad. Master, your children naturally have no lack of talent. From the void above, the divine beast Bien's ethereal voice drifted down. Long Che curled his lip. Don't flatter me with such nonsense. They're not my kids. Sigh. I raised them, and now I might have to give them away. Is that any way to treat a man? Just then Bien hesitantly spoke up. Master, there's something I'm not sure whether to say. Spit it out. Yes, master. Look at this place, this herb garden. Does it remind you of anything? At that moment, Long Che was passing by a herb garden with the children. Hearing Bien's words, Long Che glanced at the herb garden. Isn't it just some herbs? I can't remember a thing. Master, look at these herbs. Chonglo Zisabaiji. Aren't those the young master's names? And 4 years ago, this herb garden. Ahem, master, I'll take my leave now. Long Che froze. Suddenly something seemed to dawn on him. For years ago, he had once been pinned down and rubbed raw for 7 days and 7 nights by a woman who accidentally wandered into this herb garden. And in the children's swaddling bundles, there were accompanying jade plaques engraved with their 3 names. The eldest daughter Baiji, the second daughter Zisu, the youngest son Chonglu. Could it be? Long Che sank into contemplation. He had pondered this question time and again, and had even suspected that the 7-day 7-night uninterrupted hand-to-hand combat might have given rise to a rising star. He had even considered using the fingertip blood of the 3 little ones for a blood-tying paternity test, but abandoned the idea because they were too young. Could 3 children just be picked up and claimed as his own? That would be too bizarre. Only today did he seem to realize that Bien's words might hold some truth. Moreover, judging by the 3 little ones' feat of capturing the silver-scaled python, they must have passed the age of 3. In the Tianxian continent, bloodline can be awakened after age 3. Before age 3, the bloodline remains sealed by innate power and cannot be detected. After 3, Long Che could trace the origin through the bloodline. Thinking of this, he vanished in a flash and appeared beside the 3 little ones. Yet anticipating the truth he was about to verify, his heart could not help but tighten with anxiety. The Supreme Divine Lord, whose emotions had not stirred for eons, now felt ripples in his heart. Daddy, what are you doing? Daddy, why are you staring at us like that? Long Che involuntarily fell into deep thought, leaving the 3 milk dumpling children staring in bewilderment. He had never been so conflicted. Even when slaughtering 10 divine kings in the divine realm, he hadn't blinked. But verifying whether the 3 precious babies he had raised from swaddling were his own blood, that tormented him endlessly. If they were his, everything he had done these 3 years was natural and right. Yet a greater doubt arose: if they were his, where was their mother? Why did she abandon them? What difficulties had she encountered? Would he regret not discovering this truth until today? If not, although he had always believed this, once confirmed, it would certainly be heartbreaking, wouldn't it? No matter how the bloodline question was resolved, his inner feelings would inevitably change. But now that things had come to this, he had no choice but to proceed. And there was another more subtle reason. From the moment the 3 captured the huge silver-scaled python, he knew their bloodline power had awakened. The level of their fighting prowess indicated that their identity was no ordinary one. This made him think of the terrifyingly numerous enemies he had made over the centuries. Along the way he had offended countless people. To this day, in the ancient divine domain, the eternal immortal city, and countless superplanes deep in the stars, there were still countless beings eager to see him dead. This was why he had lived in seclusion for so many years, never stepping beyond the 100-mile sealed area. To resurrect his parents, he dared not leak a trace of his aura. Even though as the supreme divine lord of all realms his cultivation was at the peak, and his battle power the ceiling, the boundless universe still held countless unknown territories, he had to be cautious and step by step. If these 3 children were part of a conspiracy by powerful beings from the divine and immortal realms. Though he didn't think he should harbor such suspicion, he had to find out. Daddy, what's wrong? Longche was lost in thought. The 3 children with their milk-like voices kept staring into his eyes, tugging his clothes, asking with concern. He came out of his contemplation, looked at his 2 daughters, and 1 son with their big cute eyes, took a deep breath, and then smiled. Daddy wants to carry you all. There's still a long way ahead. But aren't you tired, Daddy? We're heavy. Daddy's not tired. Daddy has plenty of strength. After saying that, Longche crouched down and gathered all 3 little ones into his arms. Their soft, chubby little bodies and round faces made him unable to resist nuzzling them. At last, as he walked forward, holding the children, a strand of profound energy seeped out, carrying a heart full of nervousness, excitement, and trepidation, probing the small body of the eldest Baiji. Bai's bloodline had indeed awakened. The moment he detected it, his mind roared, his body stiffened, and even his pupils dilated uncontrollably. This bloodline. It's really my own child. Even though he had speculated many times and prepared himself mentally, the moment he clearly detected that the tiny Bodis bloodline merged with his own, he could not help trembling all over, his heart surging with tumultuous waves. My child, he murmured to himself, having not been this excited for years. His gaze shifted to the 2nd child Zissou and the 3rd Chonglu. At this moment his hand trembled slightly, nothing like the supreme divine lord should be. After probing one after another, his forward steps completely halted. He could not walk anymore. The 3 children he had raised from infancy. He had never imagined they were all his own blood. He was their biological father. In an instant it felt as if an invisible force violently struck his mind, leaving him completely dazed, then rapidly plunged into immense excitement. His heart was filled with mixed feelings, vast and tumultuous, as if his entire life had undergone earth-shaking changes. The gears of destiny slowly began to turn, stepping into the unknown vicissitudes ahead. Daddy, what's wrong now? The 3 little ones, though young, were bright as little adults. Seeing Longche dazed several times in a short, while they all furrowed their brows and asked. Longche could not utter a single word. At this moment, he could not suppress the surging excitement inside. Looking at the 3 soft little dumplings, at the small faces that slightly resembled his own, he even regretted deeply. I should have realized it earlier. If I had known when I first found them, I would have searched to the ends of the earth above and below to bring back the one who left them behind. He buried his head in the arms of the 3 little ones, inhaling deeply the milky fragrance that wafted from them. It was incredibly sweet. This is the sweetest scent in the world. Daddy, that tickles. Daddy, your beard is scratching me. Daddy's hair is so stiff like a porcupine's quills. But Longche did not lift his head. The excitement in his heart was beyond words. This sudden shock could only be healed and soothed by the soft little ones in his arms. After a long while, he finally raised his head and kissed the 3 little ones fiercely on their cheeks. Then he turned toward the direction of the 2 large tombs, thinking in his heart, Father, Mother, even in my wildest dreams, I never imagined that on the day you 2 are resurrected, you would see your own grandchildren, born of my blood. Playing with his own children by the fairy lake, Longche exerted all his strength to ensure the 3 little ones had the time of their lives. Of course, there was originally a powerful demon undergoing tribulation in the fairy lake, one that he raised here for the purpose of hunting. However, under Longche's control, this powerful demon could only endure even as the volcanic energy within it surged, waiting to explode. Enduring might allow it to live a few more days. Failing to endure, it would become soup. Watching the 3 little ones playfully fish, splash water, dig in the mud, catch crabs, and have water fights, Longche felt a sense of indulgence. Longche was even happier than they were. Yet amidst his joy, he was also filled with concern. 3 years ago, what kind of situation had that woman encountered that made her willing to leave behind the flesh and blood she bore only to disappear without a trace? Surely it was out of sheer desperation that she made such a cruel decision. Recalling the woman with whom he had a reckless encounter due to a sinister poison from a formation, remembering the lofty master of the Heavenly Demon Sect, the stunningly beautiful woman, Longche felt a surge of emotions. That week of passion ultimately bore 3 such adorable little ones. But were there only 3? Could it be possible there were more? This thought inexplicably popped into his mind. 3 children born from that tumultuous week, their battle prowess was indeed considerable. But where are you? The children are already 3 years old, yet you remain unheard of. Could you truly bear? Or perhaps you are powerless in this brutal world where the weak are preyed upon. Anything could happen. At this moment, all I can do is pray for your safety. May we reunite one day sooner rather than later. Children cannot grow up without a mother. Sitting by the fairy lake, Long Che gazed at the 3 little ones, lost in a profound contemplation he had never experienced before. However, with 3 years having passed, he was not in a rush to search. Moreover, the most important thing right now is to resurrect his parents. And he must do something even more crucial in the shortest time possible. Previously, while the soul-chasing lantern sought his parents' souls, it unexpectedly discovered that the last remnant of their souls was found in the demon realm. This was something he had never even considered. Although he had eliminated the demonic energy from that fragment of a soul to the greatest extent possible, he could not completely eradicate it. The demonic energy was deeply rooted, having fused with that fragment of the soul. If he continued to forcibly expel it, it would cause irreparable harm to his parents' remnants. Thus, in such circumstances, Long Che had no choice but to think of using the mildest and weakest herbs from the lower realms of the Tianshan continent to create a purification formation for the most conservative treatment. Returning from the fairy lake, the 3 little ones were already tired from playing. Long Che immediately dove into the kitchen, and after a symphony of pots and pans, a variety of fragrant dishes were served. The food was as delicious as ever. Long Che felt no guilt for knowing that the 3 little ones were his own flesh and blood. He had never mistreated them, and he was quite satisfied with this. However, this meal tasted better to him than any other. After eating, the 3 little ones played on the grand bed made of millennia-old mystic jade in the cave, while Long Che stepped out of the cave and returned to his parents' tomb. Golden light burst forth. The Nirvana golden body formation operated continuously. Yet within it, there was a barely noticeable trace of black, demonic energy deeply hidden. This aura from the demon realm left Long Che feeling quite helpless. In the depths of the Heavenly Demon Gorge, there are purification, mystical herbs. I could gather some to bring back. Saying this, he returned to the cave and saw the 3 little ones happily playing after being well fed. He felt relieved, then set up a restriction in the cave, instructing the large black dog at the entrance before vanishing from sight. Heavenly Demon Gorge. Not far from the desolate mountain where Long Che resided, he had spent many years living in the small space he created, leading a reclusive life away from worldly affairs. If it weren't for seeking purification, mystical herbs for his parents, he would not have come here. He possessed countless divine herbs in his hands, and precious medicines filled the vast slopes within his small. However, the more powerful the spirit herbs and medicines, the stronger their impact on the soul body. Thus, in search of lower-grade materials, this marked Long Che's first venture outside his small space in many years. Baiji, Zisu, Chonglu. Just as he arrived in the Heavenly Demon Gorge, he heard a faint, indistinct voice echoing through the forest. Long Che's expression shifted slightly. Why did that voice sound familiar? With a sweep of his divine sense, his brows furrowed. In such a deep forest, how could there be a woman gravely injured? He clearly hadn't expected to find a woman, one covered in wounds, blood-soaked, and nearly unconscious in the depths of the Heavenly Demon Mountain. With a flash of his figure, he appeared in front of a woman lying on the ground. This woman was utterly weak, her complexion pale and devoid of blood, her hair disheveled, and her blood-stained garments in disarray as she lay on the hard ground of jagged stones, moaning in pain and calling out. It seemed she was expending her last ounce of strength to call out for something. Seeing this disheveled woman, Long Che's eyes opened slightly, and he immediately furrowed his brow tightly. Is there really someone so vicious in this world to injure you so severely? There's even a trace of weak supreme aura. Is this the residual aura of a supreme bone? What a pity your supreme bone has already been taken. With all her meridians destroyed and her energy sea shattered, it was a miracle that she was still alive. This woman was gravely injured, and Long Che, who had lived a peaceful life for many years, was shocked by this scene. Meeting me is your fortune. The moment he stepped out of the small space barrier and encountered this woman, he naturally could not just walk away. At that moment, it seemed she heard a sound nearby, though her weakly closed eyes opened with great difficulty. They were beautiful eyes, and just one glance could evoke boundless affection. However, at that moment, upon seeing Long Che's handsome face, her stunning eyes suddenly rippled with emotion, surprise, skepticism, urgency, hope. A mix of various emotions intertwined, ultimately transforming into an impatient cry. Struggling with all her might, she shouted hoarsely, "Child! Where's my child? Where's my child?" Upon hearing this, Long Che's brows furrowed. This crazy woman, why is she asking for children the moment we meet? Why do you demand a child from me the moment we meet? Long Che frowned, his brow furrowed. What was wrong with this woman? Why did she act as if he had devoured her child? Yet his heart stirred abruptly. A child? Could it be that this woman had come looking for the 3 little ones? How could this haggard, wretched figure be the same formidable female demon of the Demoness sect who had once battled him for 7 days and 7 nights? Her hair was stark white, her clothes tattered, making her resemble a beggar woman. Long Che did not take offense, for the woman had already fallen into a deep coma. Your injuries are too severe. Let's keep you alive first. With that, he flicked a drop of foundation-nourishing immortal dew, which transformed into a mist that swirled around the woman. If he so wished, saving a life was effortless. Moreover, this immortal dew was a celestial treasure. It could not only heal her wounds, but also restore her meridians and chi. Truly divine craftsmanship. However, the supreme bone that had been gouged out could not be restored, which was rather regrettable. The mist emanating from the dew seeped into the woman's breath, and soon her breathing steadied. Long Che moved his fingers slightly, sending a strand of mystic chi to part the woman's disheveled hair, wanting to see her face. Yet her complexion was pale as paper, her beautiful eyes tightly shut. He truly did not recognize her. But whence came that faint, uncanny familiarity? As the Supreme Divine Lord, not even the faintest wisp of aura could escape his perception. Moreover, from the very first glance at this woman, he had felt an inexplicable familiarity, and it was precisely this strange sensation that made him lift her hair to scrutinize her features. Since I went into seclusion, I haven't had any dealings with other women. Her face. It somewhat resembles that female demon. Could the woman from 5 years ago have been you? Thinking this, Long Che's gaze swept to the ring on the woman's finger. Sweeping his divine sense over it, his expression abruptly changed. This is the Tianma token. The token that only the Demoness sect leader possesses. She is the sect leader? That woman. As he scanned the contents within the woman's ring with his divine sense, and discovered that the stored items were indeed many treasures of the Demoness sect, his expression grew complex. So it is you. He had never expected that after a chance encounter 5 years ago she would appear in such a state upon their next meeting. The woman's hoarse, desperate scream echoed again in his mind. She was struggling frantically for her child. Recalling the complex expression in her beautiful eyes when she had fixed them on him and spoken those words, he seemed to realize something. She had already recognized him. Gazing at the unconscious woman before him, his heart churned like a tempest. Looking at the woman on the verge of death from her injuries, his disbelief finally dissipated and his eyes turned bitterly cold. Anyone who dares bully my woman, I will grind their bones to dust. Long Che's gaze trembled as he looked at the sleeping woman, gently lifted her into his arms, and vanished on the spot. No matter what the mother of his children had returned, what Long Che needed to do now was to heal her wounds. Though she had taken a pill, it was far from enough. Back in the cave, Long Che took out a soul-nourishing pagoda and placed it in the most gentle area of mystic chi within the small space. Then he set the woman inside to warm and nurture her body. With the celestial artifact nourishing soul pagoda, the child's mother's injuries were no great concern. In just a few short days, she would fully recover. However, the supreme bone that had been gouged out could not be restored. And this filled Long Che's heart with a pervasive murderous intent, yet he could only suppress it for now. Everything would wait until the child's mother recovered. After settling the woman, Long Che vanished again, but soon returned. As the Supreme Divine Lord, finding some low-level spiritual herbs in the Tianma Canyon was a trivial task. After adding these herbs to the Nirvana golden body formation, time was already running late. The sky was growing dark, but Long Che did not intend to tell the children tonight that their mother had arrived. They would first have a good restful sleep. Long Che spent a sleepless night inside the nourishing soul pagoda, watching over the delicate form with its faint breath. He saw her white hair gradually turn into flowing black strands under the array's nourishment, and her pallid cheeks become rosy and captivating. His heart was filled with contentment. He had thought it would take who knows how long before they could reunite, yet he had met her the very first time he stepped out of this sealed space after so many years. Fate sometimes is truly ineffably wonderful. The next morning, before the 3 little ones had even woken, Long Che began to busy himself. Making breakfast early every day had become a habit. And today there was an extra task, gathering spiritual herbs and immortal grasses from the medicinal garden to brew a decoction. When the 3 little ones got up and saw the delicious breakfast on the table, they danced with joy. Daddy is so good. Hee, there's something yummy every day. Daddy works hard early in the morning. Daddy, what's that smell? It's like herbs. Suddenly Zissou sniffed the air and asked, Hey little Zissou, your nose is really sharp. Long Che kissed each of the 3 little ones on the cheek and said, Daddy wants to announce something today. A very, very important matter. Seeing Long Che speak like this, the 3 little ones opened their eyes wide. Daddy, what is it? Their big eyes looked at him earnestly, waiting seriously for him to reveal this great matter. My little ones, do you know that children all have parents? As he asked this, Long Che couldn't help his nose tingling with emotion. His children had been without a mother since birth. Parents. I know. That big black dog had puppies. It was his wife that gave birth. But Daddy, who gave birth to us? Where is your wife? Could it be that Daddy gave birth to us? Did Daddy find Mommy? The three little ones spoke with childish innocence, but ultimately guessed the truth. How clever they were. And Long Che immediately nodded yes. Daddy announces something though over these years, because you were small, I didn't tell you about your mother today, you can understand a little more. Your mother, the sect leader of the Demoness sect I once spoke of, has finally returned. Ah, Mommy is back. That's awesome. Where's Mommy? Daddy, why did Mommy only come now? I'm 3 years old, and she hasn't come to see us all these 3 years. Did Mommy encounter some difficulty? Their childish words held not a trace of reproach, but instead carried concern. As they spoke, the three little ones' eyes sparkled, a longing and aspiration for their mother. That look pierced Long Che's heart with unbearable pain, a stabbing ache. Fortunately, life is about to get better. Now that his mother has returned, he will never let her and the other three suffer any more grievances in this lifetime. After we finish eating, shall we go find your mother? Let's see who eats faster. Okay. Yay? We're going. Awesome. We also have a mother. Hee hee. Daddy, what is our mother's name? Mu Chinyu. Ah, Mu Chinyu. Our mother is named Mu Chinyu. What a beautiful name. Daddy, how did you know? Haha, of course I know your mother's name. When saying this, Long Che felt a bit guilty. To be honest, even though they had shared moments of intimacy, he had never known the name of the leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect. It was only during a great competition of the sect that a disciple had thrown down a notice from the sky, which bore the leader's name. That was when he learned that the woman's name was Mu Chinyu. They finished their meal faster than ever. After eating, Long Che carried the prepared medicinal soup, and with the three little ones walked into the spirit-nurturing tower. Upon entering the tower and seeing Mu Chinyu, Long Che couldn't help but feel a surge of compassion. This woman's injuries were far too severe. Of course, other injuries were insignificant. The most serious was the irreparable damage caused after her supreme bone was extracted. What kind of pain have you endured to come this far? His inner softness was harshly struck as he gazed at Mu Chinyu lying in the spirit-nurturing tower's great array, her brows furrowed in pain, eyelashes trembling, yet still trapped in a state of unconsciousness. His emotions grew increasingly complex. It was a miracle that she could survive to this point. He had no idea what she had gone through, to the extent of abandoning her own kin in search of her biological father, bringing 3 children to himself. Now he didn't know what kind of danger she had encountered, only that she had once again harbored an obsession appearing in Tianma Mountain when she had determined her life was nearing its end. If it weren't for her parents needing the demon-repelling spirit grass, she would probably never have encountered him again. Daddy, is she our mother? When they saw Mu Chinyu, the 3 little ones tiptoed and spoke softly, placing their fingers on their lips, afraid of waking the sleeping Mu Chinyu. Shoo, mother is sleeping, let's be quiet. Mother is still sleeping, Mommy, you must have sweet dreams. Mother, when you wake up you'll be able to see us and Daddy. Mother, are you really our mother? Can I kiss you? The 3 little ones carefully circled around Mu Chinyu, occasionally leaning down to gently kiss her face, then kissing her again. Seeing them so sensible and affectionate, Long Che could hardly contain his excitement and sorrow. This scene was too beautiful. It was so beautiful that it nearly brought him to tears. He looked at the sleeping Mu Chinyu, his gaze warm as a candle. Grasping her delicate hand, he brought it to his lips and whispered, "Where from now on you have me." A deep determination appeared in his warm gaze. Regardless of anything else, this woman was the mother of his children. They were already a family, an undeniable fact. As for her reputation as a female demon, he didn't care at all. Moreover, the reason she was called a female demon feared far and wide was because of her overwhelming power, having once wiped out the 8 major evil cultivator sects in a single night, leaving the heavens dark and causing the evil cultivators of the 9 domains and 10 lands to vanish. For many years, just mentioning the leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect would send countless people into a state of... Long Che had certainly heard of her deeds, but in his eyes this female demon only killed evil cultivators to uphold righteousness and rid the people of harm. How could she truly be a demon? Daddy, how can mother drink medicine if she's sleeping? Zhonglu asked curiously. Daddy can handle it. Long Che said, carefully lifting Mu Chinyu. Although he had many methods, even able to manipulate everything with a single thought at this moment, he just wanted to use the most primitive and clumsy way to feed his woman the medicinal soup, 1 spoonful at a time. He embraced her, intending to spoon-feed her. However, Mu Chinyu simply wouldn't open her mouth. In utter helplessness, he had no choice but to take a mouthful himself and then bring it to her lips. The method was rather inappropriate for children, causing the 3 little ones to widen their eyes in surprise, wondering how their father could seem like a big bad guy. Daddy, your method is so peculiar. Can I tell mother when she wakes up? Facing Zhonglu's sharp question, Long Che remained calm. Of course. Kids, I'm your father. Whatever I do with your mother is not excessive, understand? The 3 little ones shook their head. A rich medicinal fragrance spread out. The herbs simmering on the stove emitted a scent that made all the animals in the mountain cheer with joy. This was a pill made from various superlative immortal herbs, specially prepared by Long Che for Mu Chinyu. The entire desolate mountain appeared quite barren, yet it harbored countless divine beasts and immortal creatures raised by Long Che. These beings who ruled over the myriad realms only wished to follow Long Che, quietly being a little loud. Is the master too extravagant? For a woman, he even used treasured divine herbs and immortal dew that he had preserved for many years. As far as I know, this divine herb and immortal dew is the highest grade treasure that the master acquired from the Biluoji. He has treasured it for many years, yet today it was actually used for cooking. Who exactly is that woman? What makes our Lord God care so much? Is she perhaps an old flame? But speaking of which, are those 3 children hers? Stop guessing. Be careful not to let the master hear, or he'll chop off your dog head. Regardless, this woman is the master's friend, and we must take good care of her. Outside, a group of divine beasts were exchanging words. However, upon seeing Long Che walk out of the kitchen with a bowl of medicinal soup, they immediately scattered. After 3 days of recuperation in the spirit-nurturing tower, Mu Qinyu was placed by Long Che in a large bed in a cave dwelling enhanced by arrays. At this moment, she woke up on the soft bed, her beautiful eyes filled with shock as she took in her surroundings. Where is this? She was stunned. Scenes from before her unconsciousness flashed in her mind, her brows furrowing. Could it be that person? Before she fainted, it seemed she had finally seen that man. She was certain it wasn't a hallucination. Before her fainting, that man was indeed the father of her 3 children. He was the servant disciple with whom she had shared 7 wild nights. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but shake her head, feeling somewhat incredulous. That guy was just a mountain guarding servant disciple. This could not possibly be his cave dwelling. Then who saved her? My body. It should be a return of light, right? She didn't pay much attention to the changes in her body brought about by the immortal pills and divine dew, even thinking it was just a return of light. Otherwise, with her pitiful injuries, how could she feel such a sense of ease? Moreover, how could her formerly white hair have turned into a waterfall of black strands? Her eyes, filled with confusion, scanned the cave as she stepped down from the bed, discovering that the cave she was in was actually a high-level immortal's dwelling. Where is this? In the territory of the Heavenly Demon Sect. How could there be such an immortal's cave? With her imperial-level strength, she could naturally tell that all the furnishings in this cave were extraordinary. The tables and chairs were crafted from the climbing vines of the Qi-Long. The cup for drinking water was made of a 1,000-year-old purple glaze. The kitchen knife was an imperial-grade weapon. The entire roof was embedded with numerous mysterious dragon pearls. The bed she had just slept on was an unparalleled treasure that even the Tianxian continent had never seen, surrounded by arrays. This place was 100 or 1,000 times better than her heavenly demon palace. How could I end up here? This must be the abode of an immortal. I certainly did not mean to disturb. I hope the senior will forgive me. The fearless empress now felt a sense of guilt for having desecrated the abode of an extraordinary being. While she was in shock, the barrier at the cave's entrance moved slightly, and Long Che came in holding the freshly brewed medicinal soup. Seeing Mu Qinyu get out of bed, Long Che immediately walked over to support her. Wife, why are you up? Come, hurry and lie down. Your body is still very weak. You mustn't overexert yourself. Hearing Long Che address her this way, Mu Qinyu furrowed her brows. Wife, who gave you permission to call me that? As a dignified empress and the leader of the Demoness sect, what status does she hold? To be called wife by a mere mortal. Perhaps she is the only one in the world to experience this. Moreover, judging by this guy's attitude, he treats her like an old married couple, which is truly infuriating. But when she finally saw Long Che's face, clearly she froze instantly. You are that person. Although she had seen Long Che before her coma, she was nearly unconscious at that time, so her impression was encountering him again now felt completely different, as if she were in a dream, a sense of unreality washing over her. While desperately trying to find her children, she fainted only to open her eyes and see the man she was looking. Heaven truly knows how to joke. Where are the children? My children. In that moment, panic erupted in Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes. She was eager to see her children. Back then she endured immense heartache and took great risks to send them here. In these 3 years, not a single day went by without her missing her children. But during these 3 years, she was helpless, and the darkness of the Huantian prison nearly extinguished all her light. And her 3 children were her only obsession to survive. Seeing the intense tension in Mu Qianyu's eyes, Long Che knew he had to comfort her feelings. He didn't want to see this woman break down for even a second. He felt heartache. Don't worry, the children are safe and sound, and they have grown up healthy. They have been waiting here for you for several days. These words were so melodious that they brought Mu Qinyu to tears. 2 lines of clear tears slid down from her enchanting eyes as she looked at Long Che, crying and then smiling. She smiled yet couldn't utter a single word. This man with no cultivation seemed not so annoying after all. Mother. Is Mother awake? I heard Mother speaking. Come on, let's go see Mother. Oh, Mother isn't. At that moment, the 3 little ones heard voices from the cave and hurriedly ran in from outside. Upon seeing Mu Qianyu up, they rushed over to her side with the two daughters directly hugging her legs, while Chong Lu extended his arms for her to hold him. This scene was so beautiful. It was heart-wrenching. It was happiness. 3 years. Thousands of days and nights of longing. Thousands of days and nights of torment. Finally was she seeing the light of her life. Why did it feel so surreal, so dreamlike? Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes shimmered with changing light as she trembled and spoke. Baiji. She gently called for her daughter. Mother, I am Baiji. Zisu. Mother, I am Zisu. Chong Lu. Mother, your son is. At that moment Mu Qianyu could no longer hold back. With a cry she desperately tried to control her surging emotions, but couldn't suppress them. She covered her mouth, crying like a child, trembling all over, unable to control herself. Long Che watched from the side in silence, yet his heart was equally tumultuous. He never expected that a supreme divine lord could one day experience such warmth of humanity, such profound familial affection that left him at a loss. Mother, don't cry. Mother, we are so happy to see you. Mother, please don't cry, let me wipe your tears. After an unknown amount of time, Mu Qianyu finally calmed her surging emotions. She kissed the faces of her 3 little ones one after another, almost wanting to swallow them whole. Wife, are you feeling better? Long Che observed the entire scene, feeling a mix of emotions. He had never seen such a scene before. Wife. Hearing Long Che call her this, Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes widened as she asked back, what's wrong? By the way, the medicine can't get cold, you should drink it hot for it to work well. Come, husband will feed you. Mu Qianyu looked at the man before her, feeling overwhelmed with questions. However, all those questions were drowned out by the emotions of seeing her own flesh and blood. Even the feeling of this man calling her wife was clearly diluted. I can drink it myself. Seeing Long Che holding the medicine, looking like a caring husband, Mu Qianyu nodded slightly. Just as she was about to take the bowl, Long Che suddenly pulled her into his arms, and she was unexpectedly lifted and gently placed back on the bed. You dare to be so presumptuous with this seat. Suddenly being embraced by a man threw her into chaos. Although she displayed anger, she was more at a loss. Even though she had children throughout her life apart from Long Che, she had never had such close contact with any man. Thus, despite being a powerful empress, she was quite naive about matters between men and women, essentially lacking experience. Hearing this, Long Che smiled faintly, propping her up, while holding her in her slightly angry gaze, then said, compared to the 7 days and nights of torment you inflicted on me 5 years ago, what does this little bit of presumption count as? Upon hearing this, Mu Qianyu's pretty face flushed red to the roots of her ears. 5 years ago, don't mention 5 years ago. It's all that damn old ancestor's fault. If it weren't for him causing her to be poisoned by a strange formation, would she have ended up like this? Just let husband feed you, your body is weak now and you can't engage in strenuous activities. Mu Qianyu, since when is drinking medicine considered strenuous activity? Mother, just let daddy feed you. If you don't cooperate, daddy will have to use inappropriate methods to feed you. Mu Qianyu's eyes widened. What inappropriate methods? She turned her beautiful eyes toward Long Che, casting a questioning gaze at the man. What exactly has he done behind her back? Nothing, just trying to find a way to feed you medicine. Look how well you are recovering now, so. Quickly drink the medicine, Long Che said as he brought a spoonful of soup medicine to her. However, Mu Qianyu turned her head away. She didn't want to drink the medicine right now. She had too many questions to ask, especially about her children. So she asked, 3 years ago it was you who rescued the children. Her voice was filled with skepticism. Long Chi's aura, just like 5 years ago, showed no signs of cultivation. Of course, my children, who else would I save? Wife, no need to say more, just drink the medicine first. Long Che appeared very indifferent. After all, he had taken care of her for several days, and he was almost used to this feeling. But Mu Qianyu had just woken up, she was completely unaccustomed. Moreover, how could she trust a single word he said? When she sent her children here, she had seen the formation's energy soaring, making this place seem like a divine realm. She had searched for Long Che for 3 days and nights, only to be chased by powerful enemies, and had no choice but to place her swaddled infants in the weakest spot of the sealing spell and lure the enemies away. Afterward, she was hunted down by countless experts, ultimately captured and imprisoned in the Huantian prison, and from then on never returned here. And the 3 swaddled infants she left behind became her daily longing, the obsession that tore at her heart and soul throughout her life. Seeing the change in Mu Qianyu's expression, Long Che knew she was reminiscing about the past. He didn't want to see his woman looking sad, so he changed the subject. Wife, just eat the medicine. Once you recover, you can do everything you want to do. But when Long Che said this, Mu Qianyu took a deep breath, biting her silver teeth as if making a decision, and said seriously, I have something important to tell you. Long Che pulled her shoulder, letting her lean against the head of the bed, scooped a spoonful of soup medicine, blew on it lightly, and brought it to her lips. Nothing is more important than healing. Your priority now is to get better. How can you take care of your husband and children in this state? Come, drink it obediently. Hearing Long Che's words, Mu Qianyu frowned. This man doesn't understand her. Yet looking at how attentive this man was caring for her so meticulously, a warm current inexplicably surged in her heart. He may be weak, but he has a decent temperament. The children following him should not have suffered too much. I'm talking to you. Before Mu Qianyu could say anything else, Long Che took the opportunity to feed her a spoonful. Gulp! A spoonful of medicine was forced down, and Mu Qianyu felt both shy and angry. As a dignified empress, being force-fed by a mere mortal was utterly humiliating. Just as she was about to explode, her expression suddenly changed. Upon swallowing the medicine, she clearly felt a powerful medicinal force crashing into her body. With just one sip, the medicinal force erupted with intense restorative power, rapidly healing her injury. This medicine, what's wrong? Is it bitter? No, not bitter. That's good. I'll come open your eye. I can do it myself. Be good, let husband do it. Long Che dodged her attempt to take the spoon, and then fed her the hot soup medicine one spoon at a time, their faces so close that their breaths nearly brushed against each other. Mu Qianyu wanted to pull away, but the soup medicine was too tempting, so she could only let him serve her closely. This person is doing it on purpose. Yet she had to admit the medicinal soup was truly delicious. Even as an Empress-level powerhouse, she had never tasted such good medicine. Her attention quickly shifted entirely to the soup medicine. All thoughts of the man feeding her and their close proximity were thrown out of her mind. After consuming a bowl of medicinal soup, she felt her entire body's spiritual energy surging, and the wounds in her organs had almost healed completely. Even her almost stagnant meridians were fully restored to peak condition. What on earth is happening? What kind of medicine is this? The effects are simply miraculous. Mu Qianyu even secretly licked the bowl a few times before reluctantly letting Long Che take it away. Feeling her injuries healed perfectly, she couldn't contain her shock. The injuries she suffered were almost life-threatening. Yet after just one bowl of medicine, she had recovered. It felt like a dream. Moreover, now being in a divine cave, this double shock made her momentarily think all of this was an illusion. It turned out that her recovery wasn't just a fleeting moment of hope, but was entirely because this person had fed her these medicinal soups. Long Che walked over, smiling faintly. Wife, don't be so frugal in the future. Our family has great undertakings, so wasting a bit is no problem. Mu Qianyu's face turned red. So her secret licking of the bowl was discovered. Long Che found her blushing expression quite pleasing. This woman was truly both beautiful and adorable. As he spoke, he flipped his hand, and a radiant medicinal pill appeared. Here, chewing gum. It will make your mouth taste sweet, as if you want a kiss. Mu Qianyu glared unruly. Glancing at the chewing gum, she suddenly frowned, staring at the pill. Her heart. This pill is definitely above the imperial grade, yet you treat it as chewing gum. Such wastefulness. This man is certainly not one to live according to proper standards. But she took it from him. Just as she was about to ask something, she suddenly realized she didn't even know the name of her child. At the very least, before leaving this place, she should know the name of the child's father. So she asked, "What is your name?" "I am called Long Che," he replied. Long Che chuckled. Long Che. That's quite a domineering name. As the Empress, she had naturally heard of the Supreme God Lord of the Tianxian continent. Unfortunately, the man before her showed no signs of spiritual energy fluctuations. It was no wonder. He was merely a senior servant disciple of the Demoness sect, dragging down the average strength of the disciples. But that's fine. At least those enemies would never think her child would hide in such a place. Right now, she felt an even greater confusion, frowning as she looked at Long Che. Long Che, what exactly is this place? And where did your medicinal soup come from? She asked seriously. After all, Long Che seemed to lack cultivation, yet he was able to save the children, which must imply the assistance of a master. Long Che casually responded, "This place. It's just a cave, dear. Why don't you stay? Our family of 5 could be so happy together. Children cannot be without their mother, truly." Hearing Long Che's answer, she felt a bit angry, but seeing his indifferent demeanor made her feel as though she had misjudged him. As a mere mortal, it was normal not to realize this was a celestial cave filled with unparalleled treasures. But did that medicinal soup come from him? Where did the soup come from? I brewed it. Where did the medicinal herbs come from? I grew them. You grew them? If my wife is interested, I can take you to the medicinal field. Mu Qianyu's eyes twisted in disbelief. Even boasting requires some knowledge. Not to mention imperial-grade spiritual herbs. Even royal-grade spiritual herbs take at least 100 years to mature. How could a mere mountain servant grow herbs above the imperial grade? Only a fool would believe that. However, she felt a strong curiosity rising within her, eager to know the truth. Turning to see the 3 little ones playing excitedly, she nodded at Long Che. "Show me." Long Che smiled. "Wife, you're weak. They'll carry you." Saying this, he bent down, waiting for Mu Qianyu. Mu Qianyu was taken aback, then pouted. "Don't try to get close to me. Men and women should maintain distance. Oh, watch your words and actions." Long Che helplessly muttered. "Now you remember, men and women should keep their distance. Back in the day. What are you mumbling about? I was saying that my wife is truly beautiful, the first beauty among the 9 domains and 10 lands. Mu Qianyu's face turned red, yet her heart was filled with joy. Stop the flattery, let's take the children and leave quickly. Despite her inner confusion, she did not want to be separated from her children for even a second. Having finally reunited, she wanted to spend all her time with them. Regardless of any other matters, she would keep her children close. Alright. After exiting the cave, Long Che focused his thoughts, and a restriction sealed the cave dwelling. Then taking Mu Qianyu and the 3 little ones, they walked along a narrow mountain path. The world opened up behind them, resembling a paradise with spiritual energy rippling in the air and astonishing spiritual herbs everywhere. This place actually hides such a blessed cave. Mu Qianyu could not fathom that this desolate mountain range at the southern foot of the Tianma mountain, nearly forgotten by the Tianma sect, held such wonders. Moreover, she immediately understood why Long Che could grow such spiritual herbs. No wonder he can cultivate super spiritual materials. The soil here is actually of the profound yellow post-earth. This space is self-contained. The spiritual energy is so dense it makes one's scalp tingle, even richer than the spiritual energy in my Tianma palace. Every blade of grass and every grain of soil here belongs to the realm of immortals. This must be a treasure hidden by immortals. And there are no restrictions set, even a mere mortal can enter. It's simply unbelievable. Her heart surged with waves as she looked at Long Che, suddenly feeling a strange sensation towards him. Is he truly fortunate, or is there something else at play? So she tentatively asked, since you can grow such spiritual herbs, why not hand them over to the Tianma sect? Ahem. Wife isn't referring to you, as you brat a bit too casual. Hearing this, Mu Qianyu was taken aback. Long Che saved her twice. He even personally raised the children. Surely, she felt some gratitude. But considering her age, having lived close to 100 years to become an imperial powerhouse, Long Che was just a kid in front of her. How could she be flirtatious with a child? She felt awkward. So she pretended to be stern. Stop talking nonsense, I'm asking you a question. Seeing her feigned toughness, Long Che looked at her with a tender gaze, and suddenly reached out to pat her head. Do you really want to know? This affectionate gesture left Mu Qianyu flustered. You? Disrespectful. In the past, she would have scolded him for disrespecting the dignity of the empress. How could a mere servant disciple be so bold? But at this moment, even she was surprised that she wasn't particularly angry. Long Che chuckled. Compared to someone else's disrespect, this is nothing. Can you stop dwelling on the past? A true hero doesn't speak of past glories. Long Che smiled and stopped joking. Since you want to know, why don't we take turns asking each other a question? Seeing his serious demeanor, Mu Qianyu pouted. I agree to your terms. Long Che immediately asked, what happened to you? I want to know everything about you. Mu Qianyu immediately shook her head, firmly refusing. You can ask me other questions, but this matter must not be mentioned again. The less you know about me, the safer it is. I only hope you can raise our 3 children well, nothing else concerns. Long Che felt a bit helpless at her resoluteness. If he could learn these things from Mu Qianyu, he could directly carry out his plan. But Mu Qianyu had directly refused him. He understood she was protecting herself. Since she was unwilling to speak, he would no longer press her. On the Tianxin continent, there was nothing Long Che couldn't handle. Since you won't say, then out of fairness, I won't. He smiled. Mu Qianyu shot him a glare. You'll speak. Long Che had to relent. I will. Wife, you don't know. Actually, you might not believe it, but I am the supreme god lord of the myriad worlds. Once this statement was made, without a doubt, Mu Qianyu shot him a significant eye roll, while Long Che could only shrug and sigh, continuing. Ahem, since I became a servant disciple of the Tianma sect, I have been patrolling the mountains every day and accidentally discovered this secret realm where many spiritual herbs grow, and the soil is very suitable for cultivating these materials. So year after year I collected seeds, sowed them, fertilized, and watered them. And that led to the medicinal field you see now. Mu Qianyu frowned at this. This was clearly not the answer she wanted. Is that all? Long Che frowned as well. What else did you expect? I'm the supreme god lord, so you probably don't believe me. Oh right, I also caught some animals to create a beast cultivation garden, dug a pond to raise fish, and found quite a few weapons while digging the pond, burying them in a sword grave. You didn't lie to me. Is there any need to lie about such things? Then what about the cave you live in? That cave? It has always been there, right? Everything inside is just benefits provided to disciples by the Tianma sect, right? This benefit the Tianma sect certainly could not afford. Mu Qianyu was stunned by this revelation. So this guy knew nothing. He was just an ordinary mortal with no insight, completely unaware that every treasure accompanying him day and night could incite a bloody storm on the Tianxin continent. There are no other people coming here, right? There are. Every 3 years disciples of the Tianma sect fly over, but they don't come down, they just toss a disciple conference invitation from afar and leave. However, I generally don't attend. My strength is simply too embarrassing to join. I fear I'd wipe them all out. Long Chi's words made Mu Qianyu utterly lose hope. He truly knew nothing, and was still boasting. However, she felt secretly pleased. With so many treasures here, when her children grow up, they could quietly cultivate here, and perhaps become great figures. Longche, others shouldn't know about the medicinal field here, right? In this desolate mountain range, aside from you visiting twice, who else would come here? That's good. As Mu Qinyu spoke, she looked at Longche, gazing seriously into his eyes, saying, I must leave for a matter. The reason I came here this time was to see the children again, and to ensure they are safe and sound. Longche, what has happened to me is beyond your imagination. The children are your biological offspring, and you are the only one I can trust. You must conceal their identities. It's best not to let outsiders know of their existence, and raise them quietly. This matter concerns their safety, you must remember. As for when I will return. As she spoke, Mu Qinyu raised her eyes, her expression a bittersweet smile that made Longche's heart ache with pity. Perhaps she would never return. Wife, you need to focus on what you need to do, I will take care of everything. From now on, you just need to raise our children. Longche said with utmost seriousness. As the supreme god lord of the Tianxian continent, everything he did was effortless. Being called wife repeatedly made Mu Qinyu seem less concerned. Moreover, Longche's words warmed her heart once again. She had never expected that in her most difficult moment, the only warmth in her heart would come from a servant disciple. Looking at Longche's face, she did not respond, but shook her head, saying, Now that my body has recovered, I must also thank you for saving me and the children. Hearing this, Longche felt a mix of emotions, but did not speak. Although Mu Qinyu was about to leave right after recovering, he understood that this woman must have very important matters to attend to. As for what those matters were, he could not know. Since she was not proactive in sharing, he could not press her further. Nevertheless, a plan had already emerged in Longche's heart. In the medicinal garden, Mu Qinyu was left speechless in astonishment. Longche had picked a considerable number of spiritual herbs, leaving her shocked. Because she saw that every herb Longche picked was a super spiritual grass, she even couldn't discern their grades. Yet Longche claimed he was picking them to cook. That was simply beyond the capabilities of any mortal. Returning to the cave dwelling. When Longche prepared a table full of dishes, the three little ones were excited by the aromas. Mealtime was their happiest moment. Seeing the dishes prepared by Longche, even Mu Qinyu, who had been fasting for a long time, was astonished. The spread of dishes had a tremendous allure, continuously tempting the appetite within her. Mother, look, a table full of delicious food. Daddy's cooking is the best. Mother, you should eat more. So tasty. Mother, can you cook too? As the three little ones served dishes to Mu Qinyu and praised Longche's cooking, they made both parents incredibly happy. However, the question about whether Mu Qinyu could cook left her momentarily stunned. She certainly couldn't. It was normal for an Empress-level powerhouse not to cook since they didn't need to eat. But being asked this by her children made her feel embarrassed. Your mother certainly can cook. If not, I can let her show you sometime. Longche laughed from the side. Though he meant to help Mu Qinyu out, it only made her more flustered. Show you? How could she show if she couldn't cook? So she buried her head in her food. However, as she ate, she sensed something was off. After just a few bites, an inexplicable surge of power welled up within her. It felt as if an overflowing energy was about to burst, leaving her somewhat unprepared. Could it be that I'm about to advance? She found it hard to believe that after just recovering from serious injuries, she was about to advance in cultivation. Was the issue with the food? After all, the ingredients Longche used were all super spiritual materials that even the Demoness sect lacked. So she was frightened and dared not eat anymore. The meal was becoming somewhat terrifying. Wife, tonight, I will go night fishing and make you fish soup in the morning. That sounds great. Daddy, I love fish soup. Then you all stay at home with your mother. Today, let your mother hold you to sleep. That's wonderful. Yay. As dusk fell, the setting sun was blood red. After dinner, Mu Qinyu held the three little ones on the bed, embracing their small bodies, caressing those little chubby bundles, feeling the rare moment of happiness. After Longche exited the cave, he turned around to set a restriction, double sealing the rolling mountains within a 30-mile radius, then nodded with assurance, holding a fishing rod that suddenly hummed and transformed into a sharp sword shooting into the sky. The Demoness Sect. Having been a mountain servant for so long, I have never visited the Demoness Sect's main camp. This time I must explore it. The Tianma mountain lay like a giant dragon stretching across the eastern region of the Tianxian continent, extending for thousands of miles, and was one of the three superpowers in the eastern region. The main camp of the Demoness Sect is located on the highest peak, Tianma Peak, surrounded by mountains featuring grand palaces, buildings, temples, altars, and squares scattered among them. The mountains concealed them, ancient trees towered, and the spiritual energy was dense, shrouded in clouds and mist. Numerous disciples soared on swords through the mist, resembling immortals. At this moment the stars were bright, and a blood moon hung high in the sky. Inside the Elders' Hall on the side peak of Tianma Peak, the hall was brightly lit, crowded with people, and the atmosphere was tense. Guyan, do you dare to defy me? Sitting in the highest position was an old woman with shadowy eyes, her face covered in wrinkles, white hair, and a hunched figure appearing extremely aged. However, the spiritual energy emanating from her was astonishing. In the entire Elder's Hall, no one exuded a more robust aura than hers. This person was none other than the current leader of the Tianma sect, Qingma. Opposite her, the Grand Elder of the Tianma sect, Gu Yin, had a solemn expression, yet there was a trace of determination in his eyes. He stepped forward, righteous and indignant. Qingma, you colluded with evil to harm my Tianma sect, imprisoning everyone in the sect unwilling to submit to your tyranny in the dark blood pit. You deserve to die 1,000 deaths. You will not take the Tianma key from my hands. Elder Gu Yan's spiritual energy surged, standing alongside 5 other elders, some of whom were already wounded, blood seeping from the corners of their mouths, staining their robes, yet they stood resolute, their gazes firm and unyielding. The Grand Elder is right. As long as we live, you will not run rampant in our Tianma sect. Once Sect Master Mu returns, we will settle the accounts for this heinous crime. Hearing this, Qingma let out a series of cold laughs. What? You are still hoping for your sect master to return and turn the tide? You are truly naive. Once the master acquires what she holds, she will be sent down to meet Yin Wang. Having been imprisoned in the illusionary heaven prison for so long, she doesn't even know if she is alive or dead. Since you refuse my kindness, I will have to clean up the sect. As for the Tianma key you hold, I can easily find its location using the soul search technique. Boom. As Qingmo's shrill voice fell, her entire aura surged, and a staff in her hand erupted with a blinding crimson light. In the midst of the red glow, a soul-shattering, killing intent enveloped Gu Yin. Die. Gu Yin, the Grand Elder of the Tianma sect, held a prestigious position and was powerful. Eliminating him in front of everyone would serve as a warning to others. But in the next moment, a shocking scene unfolded before all present. A figure suddenly appeared before Elder Gu Yin like a flash of lightning. Without doing anything, the violent attack from the Qingmo's staff was completely shattered. The terrifying assault vanished in an instant as the gentle breeze brushed past. Everyone was taken aback. What just happened? It was as if a ghost had descended. Their shock only escalated upon realizing the newcomer was merely a young man in his 20s. Who is this person? The strength of Qingma is at the peak of the 9th stage of Xuanhuang, just a step away from the Xiandi realm, incredibly formidable. Even Elder Gu Yin is only at the early 9th stage of Xuanhuang, no match for her at all. Yet this young man casually deflected her attack, which was imbued with terrifying killing intent in the blink. Even though everyone present were high-ranking members of the Tianma sect, broad-minded and well-experienced, they were still utterly shaken by this scene. Who are you? Qingma was equally astonished. Just now with that strike, she had every intention to kill. Even if Gu Yin exerted all his strength, he would surely perish. Yet this young man so nonchalantly brushed aside her attack, which was truly hard to believe. Her icy gaze scrutinized Long Che, growing increasingly alarmed. She couldn't perceive even a hint of Xuanqi emanating from Long Che. What does this signify? If this person is not a super strong expert, then he must possess some unknown treasure. There could be no other explanation. While the entire Elder Hall was still in shock, Long Che, indifferent, spoke up. Who is in charge of the Tianma sect? I am the sect master of the Tianma sect. Who are you? What brings you to my Tianma sect? Qingma replied, you are not the sect master. There is only one sect master in our Tianma sect, and that is Mu Qinyu sect master Mu. Before Long Che could respond, Elder Gu Yin spoke angrily, sounding rather frantic. He and the other 5 were already in a desperate state, determined to fight to the death for righteousness. And even though their opponent was powerful, they had no thoughts of living in shame. After speaking, he turned to Long Che, respectfully clasping his fists. Thank you, young brother, for your righteous act just now. May I ask your esteemed name? Long Che smiled at Gu Yan's words and replied, I am merely a humble mountain guard of the Tianma sect. There is no need for the elder to know my name. Mountain guard. This statement left everyone stunned once again. Are you kidding? When did a mere servant disciple become so impressive? Not only did he intrude upon the Elder Hall, but he also effortlessly shattered Qingmo's attack. There had never been such a figure in the Tianma sect before. It does not matter who I am, I came here to inquire about sect master Mu Qinyu. Long Che said, his gaze directed at Qingma. Tell me, why was the sect master replaced by you? He had heard everything Qingma had said earlier. That so-called Li Huan Tian, you must be where Mu Qinyu was being suppressed. As she looked at Long Che's chilling gaze, Qingmo's expression became complex, her heart filled with conflicting emotions, secretly weighing her options. This unexpectedly emerging young man had considerable strength, yet he insisted he was merely a mountain guard disciple. This left her puzzled. Before she could speak, a burly man stepped forward from behind her, his face covered in stubble, wielding a large black blade. He looked at Long Che with a gruff voice and coldly said, a mere mountain guard dares to speak to our sect master like this. You have some audacity. Quickly cripple your cultivation and apologize. Long Che frowned at his words. It seemed he was a simpleton with brawn, but no brains. What, can't you understand what this elder is saying? The burly man seemed intent on upholding Qingmo's authority, and even the high-ranking members of the Tianma sect standing with her looked at Long Che with cold eyes, all showing unfriendly attitudes. You are doomed for disrespecting the authority of Sect Master Qingma. Kid, you must have something valuable on you, otherwise you couldn't have so easily deflected the Sect Master's attack. Hand it over, and perhaps I might spare your life considering you are a disciple of the Tianma sect. Sect Master, we captured over 10,000 dissenters from both the inner and outer gates of the Tianma sect, but didn't expect that among the mountain guards far away there would be such a disciple. It truly is unexpected, however taking the treasures from his hands wouldn't be a bad idea. The burly man was also an elder of the Tianma sect, but now he had pledged allegiance to Sect Master Qingma, speaking with a fawning demeanor as he tried to curry favor with the new Sect Master. Qingma had initially held doubts about Long Chi's identity, but seeing the attitudes of the elders, she coldly nodded at the burly elder. Take him down. As soon as she spoke, the burly elder swung his large blade towards Long Che, catching him by surprise. This man truly had a pig's brain. Didn't he see the earlier display of skill? How could he still dare to attack him? However, Long Che did not evade, instead enveloping himself in a defensive barrier of Xuanqi. The next moment, the large blade struck the barrier, instantly creating a web of cracks. Long Che also staggered back a few steps, feigning a seriously injured appearance. Young brother, are you alright? Seeing this, Gu Yin and the other 6 elders rushed over to support him, their eyes filled with concern. This is somewhat interesting. He had initially thought of directly wiping out this group, but now it seemed that although the Tianma sect was occupied by villains, it was not without loyal figures like Elder Gu Yin. If he feigned weakness now, perhaps he could gain a clearer view of the situation. Not for anything else. This is Mu Qianya's sect, and he felt a responsibility to help purify it. If I thought you had some real skills, turns out you're just a waste. The burly elder laughed heartily, while Qing Mo's worries dissipated instantly. It turned out this kid was just a reckless fool. Elder Wu Qi, you have gone too far. Elder Gu Yin glared at the burly elder with gritted teeth. Gu Yin, those who know how to be sensible are the true talents. I advise you to quickly submit to Sect Master Qingma and hand over the Tianma secret key, otherwise you will die a miserable death just like him. After saying this, Elder Wu Qi swung his large blade at Long Che again. Watch out. Elder Gu Yin, who was already prepared to sacrifice himself, was now filled with rage. He pushed Long Che aside and charged at Elder Wu Qi. Long Che frowned, his fingers curling slightly, and Elder Wu Kai's rushing form exploded, instantly bursting into a cloud of blood mist. Wah! What? Everyone's heart trembled. They didn't even have time to see what had just happened. Elder Wu Qi, who was on par with Elder Gu Yin in cultivation, was thus annihilated without a trace. Elder Gu Yin stood in the center, still in the posture of throwing a punch, staring at the swirling blood mist, his face filled with confusion. When did I become so powerful? Did I really explode Elder Wu Qi with a single punch? Elder Gu Yin, your great son Divine Fist is indeed formidable. The 5 elders who were aligned with Elder Gu Yin were shocked, but soon erupted with wild joy. Qing Mo's expression turned icy, her voice sharp and piercing. Gu Yin, is this your trump card for daring to defy me? It's not enough. Everyone attack. Annihilate them all. As Qing Ma finished speaking, everyone present moved, surrounding Long Che and the 6 elders, intent on killing them all. Long Che sighed. He didn't want to drag this out. You all. Never mind, be destroyed. Saying this, he lightly grasped with his palm. Bang, 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 bang. A series of explosions erupted around them. A thick stench of blood instantly spread, turning the entire elder hall a deep crimson. Huh? What is happening? They all died. They exploded to death. Gu Yin and the 6 elders were left speechless, stunned by the scene before them. They would never have dreamed of witnessing such a scene. It was him. After a moment of shock, they finally turned their gaze to Long Che, who stood there calmly. So it turns out, the young friend is an extraordinary figure. A peerless master. Thank you for your righteous assistance. This is a life-saving grace. They were so shocked that they directly bowed to Long Che. It was not only gratitude, but also reverence. Even with just a wave of his finger, he could annihilate these Xianhuang experts. This young man must be a celestial being descended to earth. I am truly a disciple of the Tianma sect. Serving the sect is my duty. There is no need for the elders to do this. Long Che spoke casually as he sat down on a nearby chair. I just want to inquire about Sect Master Muqi. Hearing this, Gu Yin and the others immediately stepped forward, laying everything bare. Master, you must be a friend of Sect Master Mu, right? With a peerless expert like you here, our Tianma sect has been saved. Master, you may not know this, but our sect master has been missing for far too long. After her disappearance, a great evil ancestor appeared in the Tianma sect. The Qingma you just defeated is the disciple of that evil ancestor. They practice sinister arts and have been cultivating their own power within the Tianma sect, corrupting many elders and high-ranking members. Just days ago, the evil forces suddenly acted, throwing all unwilling disciples and elders of the inner and outer gates of the Tianma sect into the dark blood abyss. We few have persevered only because I possess the Tianma secret key. Now that the high-ranking members of the Qingma forces have been eliminated by you, the Tianma sect has been saved. We should quickly head to the dark blood abyss and release the thousands of imprisoned disciples. They spoke excitedly. Yet Long Che frowned. Did you not understand my question? Master, we truly do not know anything about Sect Master Mu. We only learned from Qingma that our sect master was being hunted by that great evil ancestor and the powerful figures behind him, but as for her whereabouts, we really do not know. Long Chi's brows knitted tightly. He wished he had let Qingma live a little longer. Where is that great evil ancestor? Back then Mu Qianyu had suddenly appeared at his mountain, poisoned, all thanks to this great evil ancestor. If he could find this person, the matter could be resolved. But, Master, the great evil ancestor has not appeared for years. Well, just tell me what you know. Master, we know nothing. Long Che was speechless. He shot a glare at Gu Yan and the others, blaming himself for acting too quickly and severing the lead with Qingma. Master, now that Qingma has been killed, the great evil ancestor may very well appear again. Gu Yan spoke up. His words reminded Long Che. He nodded. Yes, Elder, with the sect master absent, maintaining the Tianma sect relies on you all. Go, it would be best if you could clear out all the remaining evil forces in the sect tonight and welcome the sect master back. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the several elders suddenly changed. There was hidden meaning in those words. Master, do you mean that our sect master is about to return? Probably. Great. We will hurry to the dark blood abyss, release the imprisoned disciples, and lead them to eliminate all the remnants of the evil forces in the sect. As they spoke, Gu Yan and the others quickly took action. Long Che sighed and shook his head helplessly. With the lead to Qingma severed, he had to think of another way. The most powerful figure in the eastern domain of the Tianxian continent should be that Eastern Emperor, right? After a moment of thought, Long Chi's figure turned into a wisp of green smoke and vanished from the spot. In the eastern domain, Eastern Emperor City. On the high walls of the imperial city, a group of patrolling guards were excitedly chatting. Have you heard? The Emperor just emerged from seclusion 3 hours ago and successfully advanced to the 8th tribulation, Xiandi realm. The Emperor is the most powerful being in the eastern domain of the Tianxian continent. Look at me, I would rather guard the city for the Emperor than establish a sect in some remote place. This is my admiration for the Emperor. I must say, although the Emperor is formidable, he is still not as powerful as that supreme divine lord from hundreds of years ago. I heard that the Emperor was beaten to tears and begged for mercy by that supreme divine lord. What are you talking about? Be careful lest the Emperor hears of it. Then it won't just be tears and begging, he would crush your head directly. Oh, someone is appearing over there. Quickly check it out. A group of them was still somewhat alert, and when Long Che appeared on the city walls, they noticed him. Of course, he had made himself visible, otherwise no one in the entire continent could track down his shadow. Who are you? How dare you invade the imperial city at night? A guard shouted sternly. Long Che raised his eyes. In an instant his body exploded, turning into a blood mist that scattered with the night wind. Speak nicely. His voice was calm, yet it scared the guards to the point of paling, and they immediately knelt down, banging their heads to the ground. Spare us, master. We are only following orders. Long Che was too lazy to waste words, cutting straight to the point. This is the place where that son of a turtle, the Eastern Emperor, resides, right? Call him over. This. The guards nearly died of fright. Who is the Eastern Emperor? The most powerful being in the entire Eastern domain, a divine figure they ordinary people could not approach. Yet in the eyes of this young man, he was so openly disrespected. But even so, the guards did not dare to resist. They knew they were no match, and if they did, they would die. Master, we are lowly and do not have the qualifications to meet the Emperor. Where is he? Take me to him. As Long Che spoke, a wisp of xuanqi transformed into a hand, directly lifting a guard into the air, vanishing into the night. The remaining guards were all trembling with fear, shivering, yet they did not dare to get up. Master, over there is the Emperor's palace. The guard, terrified, pointed with a trembling finger at a magnificent palace after flying a distance. Long Che nodded and tossed him onto a city wall several miles away. I'm not dead. I've returned. This is a peerless master. The guard burst into tears of joy. Tiger, come out here. Long Che stood in the air, his voice like a bell echoing far into the still night. In the darkness, a sleeping striped tiger suddenly awoke, its eyes filled with terror. Is that pervert? Swish. In the blink of an eye, the fierce tiger transformed into a human shape, rushing out of the palace in a hurry, heading straight for the source of that voice. Long Chi's voice resounded through the dark heavens and earth, startling countless souls awake. They thrust their heads out, eager to glimpse what transpired. Who is that man? He dares to cause trouble in our imperial city and shout our Emperor Lord's derogatory name. His voice is so deep. He must be a master. Look, the Emperor Lord has appeared. Even the Emperor Lord is alerted. This man must be tired of life. Amid the murmurs, all watched the sky beneath the blood moon with a sense of spectacle. There their emperor lord, the sovereign of the eastern domain of Tianxian continent, stood proudly in midair, with a towering aura and unmatched majesty that compelled reverence. He had just ascended to the 8th stage profound emperor realm, his battle prowess unimaginably terrifying. Who are you daring to bellow in my imperial city? The eastern wasteland great emperor's voice thundered with overwhelming authority. Go screw yourself. Long Che shot him a sidelong glance. Putting on airs before me. How shameless. Crack. A sudden thunderbolt split the heavens above the eastern wasteland great emperor. Dark night erupted with writhing lightning serpents bolts like tangled roots instantly cowing countless into hiding. Before the eastern wasteland great emperor could react, a colossal thunderous palm descended from the sky and, bang, smashed him into the earth. The sheer force left all gaping. Wah! What happened? What's wrong with our emperor lord? That young man slapped him into the ground with one hand. There's a human-shaped crater over there. Countless souls trembled to their core, feeling as if they were trapped in a dream. Unreal. How could their lofty, invincible emperor lord be so humiliated? Who was that young man? In their shock, all eyes turned to Long Che. He stood with hands behind his back, an air of calm detachment. Nothing like a supreme master who had just felled a profound emperor. Such a sight was unprecedented for the imperial city's populace. And because of Long Che's overwhelming power, none of the city's experts dared intervene. Too terrifying. Whoever acts dies. Their faces darkened as they stared at the crater. Their emperor lord was crawling out bit by bit. His condition showed he was badly injured. Yet soon he swallowed a pill and his aura soared back. Such injuries seemed negligible for a powerhouse. The citizens watched, wondering what would happen next. To attack the emperor lord like this would surely trigger a cataclysmic battle. Yet, no one expected the next scene to shatter all their beliefs. The emperor lord, after climbing out, had a face lit by firelight, all fawning smiles as he looked up at the figure in the sky. His dignified voice turned timid and servile. Master Hehe, I just didn't recognize you in the dark. How come you're back, sir? What a surprise. My humble little tiger pays his respects. Ha 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 ha. The entire city was dumbfounded. What was happening? Their emperor lord kowtowing to this young man. And he seemed so terrified, his very gaze cautious, afraid. Who was this man? You little rascal, trying to act like a big wolf. Putting on airs before me. Did I hit you too? Long Che glanced at him coolly. Not too much, not at all. Master's lesson is well taught. May I ask what? If you need anything, I Hu Tianba would brave fire and water without hesitation. Long Che nodded. It'll be direct. Find a person for me and the power behind him. Master Hu. If he offended you, we'll wipe him out. Hu Tianba spoke boldly, but his heart churned. Someone who dared offend Long Che. How could he contend with that? Yet 200 years ago Long Che had beaten him to a pulp. He only survived by begging pitifully. He dared not utter a single no. A fellow called the Great Yin Old Ancestor should be somewhere in the eastern domain of Tianxian. Yin Lao Zu. Never heard of him. But rest assured, master, if he's in the eastern domain, you'll find him. Good. Hey, race a transmission talisman. Notify me once you have news. Yes, master. Any other orders? Find him soon. Don't keep me waiting. At once. Hu Tianba bowed with clasped hands, but when he looked up, Long Che had vanished. That bastard, that one palm nearly killed me. Only after Long Che left did he breathe easy. That strike had sent lightning through every vein, making him taste death again. Good thing his body could take it, or he'd be dead. Yin Lao Zu. You bastard, when I find you, I'll give you a beating first. He swallowed another thunder-dispelling pill, calming his turbulent mystic veins, then raised his eyes to the crowd. What are you staring at? All of you get over here. None had stepped up when Long Che attacked him. His disappointment was deep. He barked at the descending experts. Listen up. Find a thing called Yin Lao Zu within 3 days. Fail, and it'll crush your skulls. At that all were terrified. Oh, but my lord, that Yin Lao Zu. Is it male or female? What does he look like? Height, weight, scram. You ask me, who do I ask? Bang. A slap sent that man's mouth askew. The others dared not ask further. They shot into the sky and vanished into the dark night. When Long Che returned to his dwelling, it was still deep night. His speed defied common sense. He had gone to the Heavenly Demon Sect headquarters in the Eastern Wasteland Imperial City in no time. Before entering his cave, he casually grabbed 2 fish from the pond and went inside. He intended to sneak a peek at the 3 little ones, but found Mu Qianyu still awake. She sat on the edge of the bed, her big eyes fixed on the 3 children, tears streaming down her face. Perhaps lost in sorrow, she didn't notice Long Che come in. She whispered to herself, "By Jizi Su Chong Lu, mother has no choice but to send you to your father. If I never return, I hope you'll grow up strong and live peacefully and happily. Your father may not have cultivation, but I believe he's a good man. He'll be a good father." Mu Qianyu's words filled Long Che with happiness. In such a situation, what was said was undoubtedly. Long Che spoke softly. Although his words were light, Mu Qianyu was startled. Upon seeing Long Che return, and hearing her own murmurs, her delicate face suddenly flushed. You're back. What about the fish you caught? She quickly changed the subject to cover her inner turmoil. Here, look, 2 big carp. They'll get up early tomorrow to make soup. Ooh, drinking fish soup will make the children smart. Long Che said, casually tossing the 2 carp into a nearby basin of water. Mu Qinyu was still immersed in her previous emotions, but when she saw those 2 large carp, her expression suddenly froze. Is this the fish you caught? She was shocked, inside, her heart racing. At the moment the carp entered the water, 2 azure dragon shadows emerged, and she instantly recognized them as the azure dragon immortal carp. These are the immortal carps that can transform into dragons. You caught them just like that, and you want to make fish soup? Mu Qinyu felt like she was seeing things. When she rubbed her eyes and looked again, she found that the azure dragon phantoms had already disappeared. Long Che crouched down to carry the fish outside. Let's leave them outside. We don't want them splashing water and disturbing the children's sleep. Oh, Mu Qinyu was about to say something, but suddenly realized she didn't even know what she wanted to say. Perhaps she had truly seen things just now. What's wrong, my dear? Nothing. It's just, where will you sleep? Long Che replied without a second thought. Of course, he'll cuddle with the children. He had been cuddling with the children for several years. It felt incomplete without them, and he couldn't sleep at all. Oh, Mu Qinyu replied, but said nothing else, instead moving a bit further inside. There were 3 little bundles in between, so she didn't feel too anxious about not sharing a bed with the man. Aren't you going to join us? Long Che asked deliberately. Who wants to sleep with you? I'll sleep over there. Saying this, she walked to the other side of the bed and lay down on her side. Although she had shared a 7-day, 7-night battle with Long Che that was under the influence of poison, now that she was clear-headed, how could she act so recklessly? However, thinking about leaving soon made her reluctant to part with the children, so she lay down inside, leaving the outer part for Long Che. Long Che wanted to cuddle with the children, and she felt the same. She wanted to stay with them until they grew up. But reality forced her to leave. As she lay down, her exquisite curves and beautiful contours instantly captivated Long Che. This woman was truly a top-tier beauty, even more enchanting than the celestial maidens he had encountered in the immortal realm. What are you looking at? Seeing Long Che gaze at her, Mu Qianyu's face flushed, and she said with mock anger, Is it not allowed for a husband to admire his beautiful wife? Mu Qianyu couldn't retort. Her face flushed as she looked at the 3 little bundles and softly said, It's getting late, hurry and sleep. You sleep first, I'll watch over my little ones. Long Che said, his paternal gaze fixed on the 3 little bundles with no intention of sleeping. At his level, he could go without sleep for 3 years without feeling tired. He reached out to touch the 3 little ones, their soft and plump forms making him reluctant to let go. He kissed his daughter one moment, and his son the next, savoring the warmth of their blood ties. Before Long Chong-lu suddenly woke up and Long Che smoothly picked him up. Do you need to pee? Come here, it's time to go. After Chong-lu peed, he didn't fall back asleep right away, but began to cry instead. My dear, our son is hungry, you must be out of milk too. Long Che didn't say the word milk, but his gaze towards Mu Qianyu's chest made her cover herself immediately. Of course I'm not. Haha, it's fine. For the past few years I've been feeding them cow's milk, goat's milk, and various divine beast milks. Rest assured, what the children eat and drink are all high-quality things, though I will definitely not treat them poorly. Mu Qianyu found Long Chi's words hard to believe, but after witnessing those high-grade medicinal herbs, Long Che filled a bottle with milk, and Chong Lu sucked on the nipple, making a few soft sounds before quieting down and soon falling asleep. Watching the child sleep, Mu Qianyu became heavy-hearted again. Long Che, you can take good care of the children, right? Long Che sensed the meaning behind her words, but shook his head with a smile. There are some things I can handle, but for feeding I think it's still best if you do it, or else why not just stay at? Mu Qianyu lifted her gaze to look at him. Chong Lu should be weaned too. They are all the same age and the sisters have stopped, but he hasn't. He should be weaned too. He should be weaned. Long Che saw her hesitant expression and asked with a smile, My dear, although I don't know what happened to you since you insist on leaving, you can rest assured about the children. They have come this far, and they will only get better. But if you suddenly leave again, I'm afraid the children won't be able to handle it. There's nothing I can do. Mu Qianyu said no more. She knew that no matter what she said, it couldn't make up for the debt she owed the children. And Long Che understood that since the issues with the Demoness sect had been settled, it wouldn't hurt for her to go back and take a look. If there were any major movements from the Grand Yin ancestor, it would surely alert Hu Tianba, whose influence spanned the entire eastern continent, allowing him to resolve any underlying issues swiftly. Mu Qianyu sighed, her heart filled with mixed emotions, each feeling distinct. However, she seemed to think of something and softly said, Long Che, I actually want to say I'm sorry, thank you. Long Che remained silent, waiting for her to continue. Mu Qianyu intended to express everything on her mind. If you ever seek another woman in the future, I hope you find one who treats the children well. I know that in this matter I have been very selfish, I have wronged you. This spatial ring contains things I left for the children along with some for you, hoping to make up for some of the hurt I caught." As she spoke, she took off the ring from her finger and placed it beside Long Chi's pillow. Long Chi did not expect her to say this, chuckling. "All right, I'll accept it. But I have a small request. Please give me a few more communication talismans. After you leave, if anything happens, I hope you can inform me at the first moment." Mu Qianyu nodded slightly. Although Long Chi's words seemed just comforting to her, they were very warm, and she felt touched. "Let's sleep, it's getting late, my dear. Good night." "Good night." The next day, when the three little ones woke up, Mu Qianyu had already left. She was very reluctant, but she also knew that the longer she stayed with the children, the harder it would be to leave and the more they would depend on her. Thus, after contemplating all night, she left early in the morning. The fish soup Long Chi made emitted an enticing aroma, leading the three kids to rush straight to the dining table. "Daddy, fish meat, we want fish meat." "Daddy, where's Mommy?" "Mommy has to leave for a little while. You can stay with Daddy. Ooh, every day Daddy will make delicious food for you. Come after you eat well, Daddy will take you fishing, okay?" Okay. When will Mommy be back?" "She'll be back very soon, don't worry." To prevent the children from looking for their mother, Long Chi kept finding different ways to entertain them: fishing, walking the dog, picking flowers, catching butterflies. They had a blast. "Daddy, the little brother is gone. No matter how hard we look, we can't find him." While playing hide and seek, Bai Ji and Zisu suddenly ran over, their little faces filled with worry. "Gone. Could he be hiding too well?" Just as Long Chi was asking, a fired songming sparrow suddenly soared into the sky, its claws clutching a child. Chong Lu. He was alarmed and realized he had been careless. Although the demon beasts here were weak to the point where he didn't care at all, it was precisely because of this that he overlooked the problem. Long Chi vanished from his spot and appeared in the air in front of the songming sparrow. But what he didn't expect was that with Chong Lau's innocent yell, that songming sparrow actually plummeted. And what Chong Lu shouted was, "1,000-pound drop." The babyish roar and the sudden plummeting of Chong Lu and Kangming left Long Chi utterly astonished. "My precious son." In his excitement, he willed a surge of mystic energy into a giant palm, catching Chong Lu steadily before he hit the ground. Yet the Kangming still gripped the child's small body, showing no sign of releasing its claws. "They'll bite you to death." Chong Lu grabbed the Kangming's leg with his tiny hands and bit down hard, his pitch-black eyes devoid of any fear. He gritted his teeth and bit with all his might, exerting every ounce of his infant strength. Screech. The Kangming, racked with pain from the biting, flapped its wings in panic, stumbling into the air. Yet Chongla's weighty anchor ability rendered the bird unable to fly no matter how it fluttered. Though overjoyed, Long Chi still worried for Chongla's safety. After all, the boy was only about 4 years old, nowhere near a match for a Xian-ranked demonic beast. So he released a surge of mystic energy, instantly knocking the Kangming unconscious. Huffing, feeling the bird's claws loosen, Chong Lu climbed to his feet angrily, then kicked the Kangming in the head. He kicked its head clean off. With a bang, Long Chi could hardly believe it. Such incredible talent. "My good son, you have the bearing of an emperor." Unable to contain his exclamation, he flashed to Chongla's side, inspecting him with his gaze. To his surprise, the boy bore not a single scratch. Even the sharp claws of the Kangming had failed to harm him, leaving his skin utterly untouched. "Brother, are you okay?" "Brother will kick it for you." Just then Baiji and Zisu came running, pulling Chongla's little hands with concern, then angrily kicked the Kangming a few times each. The Kangming, despite its immense size, its wings spanning over 3 zhong, was thoroughly battered and torn after the fierce kicking from the 3 little ones, its feathers scattered everywhere, a gruesome sight. "Ha ha ha. Well done. Truly, my children. With such talent, your father shall one day groom you into supreme overlords of the myriad realms." Long Chi felt as if he had discovered a new world, unable to suppress his joy as he laughed heartily. "Brother is so brave." Baiji wiped Chongla's face, acting like a big sister. "Hee, mother said a man must not be afraid. Father, can we play hide and seek again?" The 3 little ones, innocent and unaware of how dangerous the encounter had been, still wanted to play. Long Chi smiled. "All right, but to avoid any more demonic beasts attacking us, your father has thought of an even more fun game. Do you want to play?" "Yes. Yes, father." "Father, tell us what game." Long Chi laughed heartily. "Watch closely." He then raised his head, puffed out his chest, took a deep breath, and shouted, "9 great demon kings, all of you come forth." His voice thundered like lightning, echoing for hundreds of li. Yet to the 3 little ones' ears it sounded plain, just a bit louder than usual. Father, will shouting like that really summon the 9 great demon kings? Hee, I want to shout too. Brother and sister, let's shout together. 9 great demon kings, all of you come forth. 9 great demon kings appear quickly. The 3 children thought it was a mountain calling game, shouting in their childish voices that echoed through the hills. But soon they sensed something was wrong. The gentle breeze in the mountains suddenly turned into a fierce gale. Clouds gathered and shrouded the area, and even a faint thunder rumble sounded. "Father, it's going to rain. Let's go home quickly." Baiji tugged at Long Chi's robe, urging him. Long Chi laughed and patted her head. "Daughter, it's not rain, it's part of our game." We've summoned the 9 great demon kings. Really? Father, can we actually summon demon kings? Are they powerful? Will they harm us? The 3 little ones asked worriedly. Long Che patted his chest. Of course not. With your father here, you'll watch me teach them a lesson. But this is our secret. Never tell your mother, okay? Okay. Hee, this is our little secret with father. Father, look. There's a huge thing flying over there. Father, why is that mountain peak suddenly so tall? No, it's a mountain-sized demon. Father, look at that abyss. How did it stir up such huge waves? Hearing the babble of his 3 children, Long Che smiled. The 9 great demon kings have arrived, my little ones. Let's conquer them, shall we? Yes. Father, we're not afraid. Father, you and my siblings stand behind me. I'll deal with them. At this moment, the performance of the 3 little ones took Long Che completely by surprise. Truly, newborn calves do not fear tigers. When the 9 great demon kings arrived, stirring winds and clouds and changing the heavens, the children showed no fear. They even vied to protect him. My dear wife, you have truly given me 3 treasures. In his astonishment, Long Che felt a deep gratitude toward Mu Qinyu. Under such harsh circumstances, she had managed to raise 3 children who faced danger without flinching. He wondered how she had done it. With booms, stomps, and howls, the 9 great demon kings gathered atop the mountain, casting the desolate peak into a tempest of clouds and pressure. The commotion was immense. So much so that the silver scale eagle, which Mu Qinyu had released into the abyss to protect Long Che, trembled in terror, prostrating itself on the ground, not daring to lift its head. Fearing the children might be frightened, Long Che sent out his voice, "Calm down. Whoever scares my children, I'll grind them to dust." At his words, the wind abruptly ceased, thunder faded, clouds dissipated, and the rain cleared. Even more. Before them stood 9 oddly shaped little creatures that left the 3 children puzzled. "Greetings, master. Why have you summoned us?" The 9 great demon kings had all shrunk into adorable miniature animals, pleasing to children's eyes and interests. They were demonic beasts that Long Che had let roam freely, guarding the desolate mountains for hundreds of li. "First, look over there." Long Che directed the 9 demon kings to the dead Kangming, saying, "This beast ambushed my child and was kicked to death." "What? Master, you have children. When did that happen? We never even had a baby feast." "They are so adorable. They take after you, master." Flattery poured out endlessly. Long Che coughed twice. "Enough nonsense. Manage your demon beast circles well. I won't allow such incidents to happen again." "Understood, master. I'll inform them immediately." "Hold on. Any further orders, master?" Long Che smiled. "I have a task for you. To become the beast companions of my 3 children. How about it?" The 9 demon kings immediately knelt and kowtowed. Willing. "Master, it is our honor." "Which young master or miss will choose me?" As they spoke, Chonglu directly mounted the back of a 3-eyed green-eyed beast and shouted in his baby voice. Though the 9 great demon kings were renowned in their eyes, Long Che was akin to a celestial deity who could crush them at any moment. Now that they had the chance to become the little master's spirit beasts, they naturally could not let this opportunity slip by. If we perform well, we might receive the master's guidance and elevate our cultivation to the heavens. "You are all so adorable. Father, they are willing to be our spirit beasts. I have an idea. Let each of us choose 3. What do you think?" Long Che nodded with a smile. "Father has an even better idea. Each of you choose 3. They happen to be 3 water beasts, 3 flying beasts, and 3 land demons. When you pick, make sure you cover water, land, and air. Wouldn't that be more fun?" Great. Let our younger brother choose first. He is the youngest, so we must yield to him. Sisters, you go first. Mother said that a man must be chivalrous to girls." Long Che listened to their discussion, deeply moved by their words. While the children were well-mannered, his wife had done an excellent job. After some deliberation, the 3 began taking turns to choose their spirit beasts. Finally, they finished with cheerful smiles and gleefully reported to Long Che. "Father, I chose the great heavenly fire phoenix, the crimson gaze celestial Kirin, and the golden thunder dragon." Bai Ji said, riding atop the golden thunder dragon and waving her little hand. "Father, mine are even more formidable. This one says it's the blood Qilin, this is the cloud-treading beast, and this is the devouring heaven demon whale." Zisu said, tugging at the blood Qilin's ear. Chonglu was still riding on the back of the 3-eyed azure-eyed beast. "Mine is the 3-eyed azure-eyed beast. What are these 2 called? I don't recognize them." The 2 demon kings immediately bowed. "Little master, I am the moon-devouring sky wolf. Just call me Little Wolf." "Little master, I am the venomous poison water python. Call me Little Poison." "Hee, Little Poison, show me a flight, will you?" Chong Lao's excitement soared. "It was so much fun. Little master, I live in the water. If you want to fly, how about asking the moon-devouring sky wolf to take you?" Great. Father, let's go. Sun will take you flying." Chong Lu could no longer restrain his eagerness. "All right then, let's fly." Long Che nodded to the 9 demon kings, signaling them to serve well. The 9 demon kings also nodded in unison. Such a task was simply too easy. Remember, this is a secret between me and my children. No outsiders must know. Understood, Master. Having demon kings as spirit beasts, and for 4-year-old little ones at that, would surely arouse suspicion if seen by powerful beings. He did not want his children to be exposed prematurely. Although he was their protector, even a tiger dozes off sometimes. He had to ensure absolute safety. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the days that followed, accompanied by the demon kings, the 3 little ones played to their heart's content, traveling through mountains and waters, flying high in the sky. Under their whimsical imaginations, they unlocked all sorts of games, driving the demon kings to the brink of collapse. They had thought taking care of children was simple, but the reality proved to be utterly tormenting. Yet they could not back down. Never. Whenever Longshay saw a demon king entertaining the children delightfully, he would reward it with miraculous pills and elixirs from time to time, which greatly boosted the 9 demon kings' enthusiasm, making them try even harder. Longshay watched his 3 children giggling endlessly, feeling deeply content. He wondered what was Mu Qinyu doing now. At that moment, Mu Qinyu was sitting on her meditation cushion in the main hall of the Heavenly Demon Sect, frowning, with great confusion in her eyes. Who was it that instantly killed Qing Mo and the other rebels? Grand Elder, can you draw a portrait of that Sect Master? You know, I am utterly ignorant of painting. What about you? Sect Master, how could we possibly know how to paint? Mu Qinyu. When she returned to the Heavenly Demon Sect and learned of what had happened the previous night, she was completely stunned. She could not fathom who, disguised as a disciple of the Heavenly Demon Sect, had secretly helped her. Sect Master, since there is a hidden benefactor aiding you, do not rush to leave. You endured so long in the illusory heaven prison, and your cultivation needs proper recovery. Moreover, the hearts of the sect are unsettled. You must rally them again. Beside her, an elder spoke. Sect Master, I have guarded the Heavenly Demon's secret keys with my life. Now that you have returned, I entrust these keys to you. The treasures within the Heavenly Demon's secret realm should now see the light. Grand Elder Gu Yin said, handing several keys to Mu Qinyu. The Heavenly Demon's secret keys were the keys to unlocking the supreme secret realm of the Heavenly Demon Sect, and only successive sect masters were permitted to enter that realm. Legend had it that a supreme treasure of the Heavenly Demon Sect lay within, left by the founding patriarch. It could be retrieved when necessary and possessed the immense power to turn the tide. What exactly that treasure was, however, remained unknown to all. Now, gazing at these keys, Mu Qinyu nodded to Gu Yin and the other elders, her eyes filled with gratitude. Elders, it is because you guarded the Heavenly Demon secret keys with your lives that they did not fall into villainous hands. You are the heroes of our Heavenly Demon Sect. Thank you for your dedication. Mu Qinyu could well imagine the grievous events that must have occurred within the sect during her absence. Fortunately, a large group of people like Elder Gu Yin remained loyal to the sect, preventing the Heavenly Demon treasure from falling into others' hands. Sect Master, we pledge to follow you to the death. Guard the Heavenly Demon Sect with our lives. Mu Qinyu was deeply moved in her heart. For some reason, perhaps because she now had children to care for, her heart had grown much softer. The feat of annihilating 10 evil sects in a single night. She probably could not do it now. Yet soon her gentle gaze turned resolute again. Elders, I will now enter the Heavenly Demon secret realm and strive to refine the treasure and return as soon as possible. We see the sect master off. Whoosh. Mu Qinyu strode out of the hall, her figure danced into a red phantom and vanished in the blink of an eye. Amidst the myriad mountains and ravines, thick clouds gathered, but they displayed an eerie blood-red. Deep within the mountains, beneath the blood-colored clouds, vast and magnificent structures lay concealed under that crimson veil. From time to time, roars of demonic beasts echoed, and occasionally a cultivator's figure flew by on a sword, creating a hazy, illusory, and mesmerizing scene. Inside a great hall, an old figure suddenly opened his eyes. Qing Mo's soul lamp has gone out. Who killed my little disciple? At that moment, the old man who spoke and opened his eyes was none other than the great old ancestor. Before him burned a row of soul lamps. These were his disciples' soul lamps. Yet Qing Mo's soul lamp had suddenly expired. His countenance instantly darkened with extreme gloom. Dayan Laozu exuded a murderous aura from his entire being. In the next instant, his figure soared into the air, and like a blood-colored eagle plunged into a colossal cave thousands of zhang away. Yuanwu, Zhanshan, Master, you two hasten to the Tianma sect 100,000 li eastward to investigate matters concerning your junior sister Qing Mo. Master, what happened to junior sister? Her soul lamp has extinguished. Off. Yuanwu and Zhanshan were the second and third disciples of Dayan Laozu, while Qing Mo was his youngest disciple. The place where they were was the Blood Moon Cave, one of the 36 caves under the evil god's command. However, the evil god had long ago been vanquished by the female demon from the Tianma sect, and now the one who ruled all 36 evil caves was the evil god's son Lu Wuxia. As for where Lu Wuxia was, no one knew. Nowadays, the evil god's son conveyed information through a mysterious organization called the Evil Crow. The most recent notice from the Evil Crow was to order the Blood Moon Cave to search for the whereabouts of Mu Qianyu, the sect master of the Tianma sect. Dayan Laozu, who had been without lead, suddenly learned that his youngest disciple Qing Mo, who had forcefully entered the Tianma sect and become its sect master, had her soul lamp extinguished. He immediately dispatched his 2 disciples to investigate. Master Junior's sister's cultivation is extremely high. How could she fall so easily? Besides that female demon, who else possesses such methods? Rest assured, Master, we will capture her and deliver her to you for judgment. Go. Dayan Laozu nodded, watching his 2 disciples flicker and fly out of the cave. He was deeply incensed over Qing Mo's death. The reason he did not go himself was that his senior disciple Qin Tiangong was in seclusion, striving to break through to a new realm. At this critical juncture, he could not allow any mishap. Of course, most importantly, this talented youth who was about to succeed him as cave master was his illegitimate son. 100 li west of the Tianma sect. This was an ancient forest infested with beast spirits. Countless beasts roamed the woods, including many high-ranked great monsters lurking in ambush, ready to strike, erupting into chaotic and astonishing slaughter. This place was also the training ground for Tianma sect disciples. Since the sect's founding, countless beasts had perished here, and the number of Tianma sect disciples who fell here was equally astonishing. On normal days, except for some monstrously talented disciples, ordinary disciples dared not come here to train. At this moment, amidst the chaotic forest, a group of great monsters gathered, their eyes flickering, as if they were. Weeds grew rampant here, and many ancient towering trees' withered trunks lay scattered in disarray, indicating that a fierce battle had once taken place here. Boss, this is the place where Dayan Laozu and that female demon of the Tianma sect had their fierce battle back then. A giant wolf spoke in human tongue, secretly delighted at finding clues about Dayan Laozu. Beside it stood a robust golden rhinoceros, whose eyes showed a flicker of doubt upon hearing this. Ever since receiving the message from the Dongwang Emperor, Hu Tianba, all great monsters in the eastern domain with any ambition had been desperately searching for clues about Dayan Laozu's whereabouts. They firmly believed that if they could make even the slightest contribution to the Dongwang Emperor, their rise to glory would be imminent. Has Dayan Laozu appeared here? In which year? Weeds were overgrown, and the withered trees were covered with a thick layer of moss, clearly indicating that the fierce battle had taken place long ago. About 3 years ago. The giant wolf completely missed the discontent in the golden rhinoceros' eyes. It'll ram your lungs out. The rhinoceros horn blazed with golden light, and it directly rammed the giant wolf away. 3 years. It's been 3 years. What kind of damn clue is this? This was the very place where Mu Qianyu and Dayan Laozu had fought fiercely 3 years ago. It was also after this fierce battle that Mu Qianyu was poisoned with lust poison and had some collision incidents with Long Che. Boss. Even though it's been so long, I can still clearly remember Dayan Laozu's aura, that surging evil energy. The giant wolf, terrified of being hit again by the formidable golden rhinoceros king, was explaining when suddenly its wolf eyes looked toward the sky and exclaimed, "It's exactly the same as the auras of those 2 people." Huh. At the giant wolf's words, all the great monsters present immediately looked up at the sky, and indeed saw 2 human experts flying past, heading toward the Tianma sect. Beasts had a powerful sensitivity to auras, and they all sensed a strong evil aura from the 2 people. We must not miss any clue. At the golden rhinoceros king's command, all the beasts soared into the sky. For a monarch-level beast, the ability to fly was nothing but a trivial skill. Roar, howl. These great monsters were numerous. After one roar, even more monsters flew out from the forest, large and small, soon numbering in the hundreds and thousands. Huh, you beasts. What are you doing? Senior brother were surrounded by beasts. The 2 rushing toward the Tianma sect were precisely Dayan Laozu's disciples Zhang Yuanwu and Lu Zhanshan. Their cultivation was even stronger than Qing Mo's, and they were formidable beings only 1 step away from reaching the mystic emperor realm. Unfortunately, breaking through to the emperor realm was as difficult as ascending to heaven. The 2 had lingered at this stage for years without succeeding. If they could break through, they would have no fear of this dense swarm of great monsters before them. Although the most powerful among these monsters was the 8th-rank peak mystic monarch golden rhinoceros, whose strength was far inferior to theirs, the sheer number of beasts was overwhelming. Moreover, when beasts fight, as long as they're not dead, they keep charging. Thus the 2 grew tense, even glancing around furtively, looking for an opportunity to escape. Unfortunately, the sky and ground were filled with a dark, oppressive mass of beasts, a sight both shocking and horrifying. Where was there any way to flee? You 2, do you know Dayan Laozu? The golden rhinoceros king got straight to the point. The 2 were startled. What's going on? How could this herd of beasts know that their master was Dayan Laozu? The situation was sudden and quite suspicious, but being human, their minds were naturally more meticulous than those of beasts. Seeing the scale of the situation, they knew it was extraordinary, so they began to play word games. What if we know, and what if we don't? Unexpectedly, the Golden Rhinoceros King had a very irascible temper. Less nonsense. No means no, not no means not no, be straightforward with me. Roar. After saying that, it even raised its head and let out a roar, its deep voice causing people's hearts. After the Rhinoceros King's roar, a cacophony of howls and roars erupted everywhere. All the beasts' screams merged, shaking the 9-layer sky clouds to fragments, terrifying the two nearly to heartburst. Nash, Zhang Yunwu gritted his teeth, his face cold, unsure what to say. He admitted that he was somewhat afraid of this horde of great monsters. Senior brother, perhaps we should use Master's prestige to intimidate these beasts, Lu Zhanshan said through clenched teeth. The two exchanged a glance and nodded. Dayan Laozu is a mystic emperor powerhouse, and he is our esteemed master. They spoke in unison, their voices carrying a dignified intimidation. However, after their words fell, the imagined scene of intimidating the beasts did not occur. Instead, upon hearing this, the horde of beasts' eyes blazed with fervor, and they began to stir wildly. Capture them. Hurry and capture them for me. Roar, ha! We've searched high and low, and now these fools have delivered themselves to our doorstep. This unexpected scene left the two of them dumbfounded. Why were these great demons so agitated, and why were they targeting them? Why did mentioning their master's name not instill any fear? Instead, it only seemed to provoke their fury. With complicated feelings swirling within, the two immediately sprang into action. Boom! As the spiritual energy surged, their protective defenses opened instantaneously. With a grip of their hands, crimson crescent blades sliced through the air, wildly striking the approaching beasts from all directions. In no time, the battle escalated to a fever pitch. The colossal Golden Rhino King charged at the forefront, its horns erupting with dazzling golden light as it surged forward with overwhelming demonic energy toward the razor-sharp blade. The explosive sound of the spiritual energy erupted suddenly. Unfortunately, though it remained uninjured, it was still pushed back by the formidable strength of the opponent. The gap in their realms became apparent ere at first it wasn't particularly noticeable despite their overwhelming numbers. Swiftwind Bird, you must quickly deliver the message. It is crucial that Lord Earth Dragon arrives at once. The Swiftwind Bird let out a sharp cry and transformed into a flash of lightning, vanishing into the sky. With their combat power insufficient, they could only resort to a wheel battle. In midair, countless beasts fell down, some dead, and others wounded. Amidst the chaotic and bloody battle, the corpses of the beasts began to pile up like a mountain. Both Yuan Wu and Zhan Shan experienced a drastic consumption of their spiritual power. Despite their formidable cultivation, they could not withstand the relentless attacks from the swarm of beasts. Some beasts, driven mad, charged forth heedless of their own injuries. With no other options, the two could only fight back desperately. The entire ordeal lasted for a full incense stick's worth of time. Just as the corpses of the beasts formed a small mountain below, a roar suddenly echoed from the distant sky. Following that roar, all the beasts in the battle circle were instantly filled with dread, halting their attacks and prostrating themselves in worship. It was a dragon's roar, and in the void ahead, a massive earth-colored dragon descended, riding the winds and clouds. Its body stretched dozens of feet long, its eyes radiating supreme majesty, causing Yuan Wu and Zhan Shan to break out in cold sweat. After enduring round after round of wheel battles, their combat power had dwindled severely. Even if this earth dragon hadn't appeared, they wouldn't have lasted until the end. Moreover, the aura of this earth dragon completely overshadowed them. Senior brother, this is an earth dragon of the Xian Emperor realm. We're doomed. How did our master offend this esteemed dragon? The two held their weapons, but dared not move. In front of this earth dragon, they were utterly powerless. So, it was better to submit obediently, hoping for a chance at survival. Thud thud. The two dropped their weapons and decisively knelt on the ground, witnessing the Golden Rhino King and the other beasts filled with indignation. These cowardly creatures who had just recklessly killed many of their kin were now kneeling and bowing upon seeing Lord Earth Dragon. How shameless! Lord Earth Dragon, please spare us. We are not disciples of the great Yin ancestor. This revelation left the beasts dumbfounded. What are you saying? The Golden Rhino King looked utterly bewildered. Did this brutal battle turn out to be in vain? What we mean is, you misunderstood us. We don't know who the great Yin ancestor is. He is not our master at all. Yes, we don't know him. We have never heard of him. The reason we said that earlier was to scare you with his name. Their words made the Rhino King grit its teeth. Now that even Lord Earth Dragon had arrived, you claimed not to know the great Yin ancestor. What a joke. The Earth Dragon spoke sharply, not knowing. Then how would you know that his name could frighten us? This statement had flaws. With one line, the two were rendered speechless. When did the beasts also become so clever? Truly, they were worthy of being creatures related to dragons. Lord Earth Dragon, we truly do not know him. Yuan Wu trembled, still holding on. Not knowing. Fine then, die. With that, the earth dragon's claw swiped, directly killing him. This. Jean Shan was terrified, his heart nearly leaping out of his chest, his pants already soaked. I know. I know the great ancestor. Please don't kill me. He was pale with fright, knowing he absolutely could not say he did not know his master, or he would meet the same tragic fate as Yuan Wu. Oh, you know him? Really? Really? Absolutely. We are disciples of the great ancestor. We are disciples of the Blood Moon Cave. I don't know what Lord Earth Dragon wants to do, but wherever a lowly one can be of use, I will exert my utmost effort, just asking for your mercy. Lead the way to find the great ancestor. Yes, my lord. At the command of the Earth Dragon, a group of mighty demons surged toward the Blood Moon Cave. Along the way, Lu Zhanshan was drenched in cold sweat, having never done such a thing. The Heavenly Demon Secret Realm. Mu Qianyu used the Heavenly Demon Key to open the door to the secret realm and began searching within. The founder of the Heavenly Demon Sect left behind a treasure that was said to be able to change the fate of the sect, but no one had ever seen what kind of treasure it was. Even Mu Qianyu had never seen it, nor did she know where it existed within the secret realm. Upon entering the secret realm, she found herself in a pitch-black little world. All she could see was an impenetrable darkness, as if submerged in ink. Mu Qianyu surveyed her surroundings with beautiful eyes, but could not see a single thing. She had used various methods, even the Dragon Gallbladder Night Pearl, but none could pierce through this darkness. What exactly did my ancestor leave behind? The secrets of this secret realm had eluded the leaders of successive generations. Now that the Heavenly Demon Sect was in trouble, I must find it. She remained steadfast in her heart, but had exhausted all means still with no results. Left with no choice, she could only sit quietly in the dark, trying to sense everything around her. Rustle, rustle. Rustle, rustle. Uncertain how much time had passed, a faint rustling sound suddenly entered her ears. It seemed that something was approaching from the depths of the darkness, the sound gradually growing louder, finally culminating in a whirlwind sweeping and accompanied by a chilling laugh like a devil in madness. What exactly is that? Mu Qianyu's heart raced. The laugh was too horrifying. Unable to see the figure in the darkness, a sense of fear about the unknown surged within her, and she immediately opened her protective defenses. Bang! Just as the defenses were activated, a shadow suddenly crashed into her, with a heavy impact, startling Mu Qianyu. As a Xian Emperor-level powerhouse, she believed her defenses were incredibly strong and unbreakable by anyone below the Emperor level. However, in this eerie secret realm, even a single shadow's collision had created a dense web of cracks in her defenses. Mu Qianyu was taken aback. Even without clearly seeing her opponent's face, her defenses crumbled inch by inch, ultimately shattering completely. She was a formidable presence at the second-tier Xian Emperor realm, yet here, she found herself at a disadvantage. Moreover, the thick aura of danger surrounding her intensified, frantically sweeping through the area like a vast hurricane. Crack! Mu Qianyu's heart raced, yet her gaze remained resolute. She bit her silver teeth tightly, and the mystical energy within her erupted violently, launching a devastatingly powerful, thunderous attack towards the source of the densest aura. Boom! The mystical energy transformed into thunder roaring through the surroundings, causing the dark space to tremble as if the heavens were collapsing. However, strangely, such a violent attack did not strike her opponent. It was as if she charged into an endless void, and at the end of her vision, a flash of light flickered and vanished. What is that thing moving with such incredible speed? Mu Qianyu's heart was filled with more confusion. Evidently her attack had not hit the opponent. Yet she distinctly sensed that the center of her strike was precisely where her opponent's energy converged. The fact that such an attack did not even touch her opponent only indicated that this being's strength completely surpassed her own. Amidst her confusion, she noticed that the flickering light at the end of her sight had not dissipated. Instead, it transformed into a luminous point suspended at a distance within the dark space. What is that? Mu Qianyu finally caught a glimmer of insight, her beautiful eyes slightly furrowed as she began to rush towards the direction of that light. Just then, an astonishing aura surged once more, blocking her path, accompanied by a terrifying attack that howled. Mu Qianyu once again gathered her mystical energy to form a defense shield while continuously retaliating, and during this process, she gradually began to uncover the truth. That light with each of her retaliations actually began to grow larger until eventually she could see the outline of a sword. Is that a sword? And the force that keeps attacking me is all emanating from this sword. What level is this sword? Unknown how much time had passed, Mu Qianyu was in a disheveled state, even bleeding from her mouth and her clothes in tatters, yet her heart grew increasingly resolute. These attacks were exceedingly powerful, yet she could feel that her opponent was not using their full strength, and all their combat power was at the threshold she could endure. Perhaps this was the trial set forth by the founder of the Demoness sect for their descendants. Only those with a sufficiently strong willpower to pass such trials would be deemed worthy of obtaining this treasured item. The attacks continued, and the counterattacks were relentless as a sword that pierced the heavens gradually emerged from the abyss-like dark space. On the first night after Mu Qinyu entered the Tianma secret realm, Long Che faced his first challenge. Although the three little ones were very excited while playing during the day, as night fell they couldn't help but want to find their mother. Even with more fun games to distract them, it didn't work. Especially the youngest Zhonglu. Though they were triplets, Zhonglu was the most spoiled one. Daddy Zhonglu wants to find mommy. Zhonglu doesn't want mommy to leave. Whimper, whimper. Long Che was somewhat helpless, strolling outside the cave with his son in his arms. Bai Ji and Zisu were quite obedient. Having washed up after dinner, they climbed into bed and fell asleep. Only Zhonglu kept shouting to find their mother. Son, Daddy thought of a fun idea. How about we go milk a goat? I can't wait to have that old ewe's milk. Daddy, does mommy's milk taste the same as the ewe's milk? What? Daddy doesn't know, but how about we first try to see what the black-haired ewe's milk tastes like, okay? Alright. After some coaxing, Zhonglu finally calmed down and seemed to take an interest in milking goats. Long Che couldn't help but mutter, son, you can't just settle for any milk. However, for now he had to cope with it and see if it would work. In the sheep pen, a large giant black sheep was sound asleep, its milk exposed with several lambs sleeping nearby. This giant sheep had just given birth a few days ago and was full of milk. Milk, it's milk. Daddy, I want to milk it. Zhonglu immediately became excited, unable to wait. Kid, you can't be so greedy. This giant sheep is not an ordinary sheep. Its milk must be cooked before drinking. Be patient, I'll let Daddy milk a cup first. Zhonglu was probably hungry. Knowing there was ewe's milk to drink, he had already stopped crying. His big eyes blinked as he watched Long Che milking, growing increasingly interested, squatting down and grabbing the ewe's milk. Ba ba. With him grabbing it, the giant black sheep suddenly cried out in pain. However, seeing Long Che stealing its milk, it dared not make a sound, allowing its divine-like master to milk it forcefully. Long Che milked a cup of ewe's milk, then returned to the cave to cook it. Soon the fragrant smell of milk wafted through the air. After Zhonglu drank a full cup, he burped, and then lay in Long Che's arms, falling asleep within a quarter of. Seeing all three little ones asleep, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there was ewe's milk, otherwise tonight would have been sleepless. Wife, when will you be back? If Mu Qinyu hadn't returned, the children's anticipation for her wouldn't be so intense. It's like a person who has lived in darkness all their life. If they suddenly see the light, a glimmer of hope will arise in their heart, and they will yearn to escape the darkness. Because once one has seen the light, they can never return to their former selves. Long Che kissed each of the triplets on the forehead, then set several layers of restrictions around the entire cave, plastering it with sound transmission talismans, finally feeling secure enough to leave. These sound transmission talismans not only allowed him to sense any movements from the outside, but also alerted him if the triplets woke up and cried at night. With this assurance, he felt safe to leave. Of course, with his cultivation, it wouldn't take long to reach the Tianma sect headquarters. At this moment, within the Tianma sect, Elder Gu Yin and the higher-ups were all gathered in front of the seal at the entrance of the Tianma secret realm. I wonder how the sect master is doing inside. Throughout history past, sect masters have attempted to retrieve the Tianma treasures from within, yet no one has ever succeeded, nor do they even know what the treasures are. Sect Master Mu is a remarkable woman, her strength surpassing all previous sect masters. Apart from the founding ancestors, she is the strongest in the history of our Tianma sect, and she is the one most likely to obtain the treasures. I hope she succeeds. A group of people waited outside, their eyes filled with anticipation. Suddenly a figure appeared out of thin air before them, startling even Elder Gu Yin, clearly shocked. It is worth noting that once Mu Qinyu entered the Tianma secret realm, he had arranged for the sect members to guard this place heavily, ensuring not even a fly could enter, fearing it would disturb Mu Qinyu within the secret realm. However, a person suddenly appeared before him, which was truly astonishing. Yet upon recognizing the newcomer, as Long Che, the shock in his heart dissipated instantly. A master capable of effortlessly defeating the Qing Mo appeared here silently, which was undeniably a trivial skill for him. My lord, is that you? Why have you come? Elder Gu Yin expressed great reverence towards Long Che, addressing him with you, which clearly indicated Long Che's esteemed position in his heart. I have come to find the sect master. Long Che asked casually, has the sect master returned? Elder Gu replied, yes, our sect master has already returned, but she is currently unavailable. Although Elder Gu held great respect for Long Che, he still refrained from mentioning Mu Qianyu's situation. After all, although Long Che had shown kindness to the Tianma sect, his identity remained a mystery. Moreover, this person was formidable. Both times he came seeking their sect master, there must be something suspicious, and he knew it was wise to be cautious. Unavailable. Isn't it just to retrieve a sword from this secret realm? We'll go take a look. Upon hearing this, all the high-ranking members of the Tianma sect were left dumbfounded. A sword? A secret realm? This? They had completely sealed off the entrance to the secret realm, even using formations to hide it. Yet Long Che directly stated that this place was a secret realm. Moreover, the treasure within was referred to as a sword. Whether the sword was real or not was unknown, but to immediately recognize the existence of a secret realm was truly astonishing. Even Elder Gu Yin, a master of his caliber, could not perceive the existence of a secret realm here. So who exactly was this seemingly young fellow? But the next moment what occurred left everyone completely petrified. Huh? Where? Where did he go? Elder Gu, he has entered. He has entered the secret realm. This? Is it possible? Am I seeing things? He is not human. He is simply not human. With the secret realm sealed, and our blockade at the entrance, even an Imperial-level powerhouse could not easily enter. How on earth did he accomplish this? The crowd was left bewildered, their eyes wide in disbelief, completely frozen in shock. Elder, should we go in and have a look? Go in. With our cultivation levels, entering would be a matter of life and death. What shall we do then? There's nothing we can do. We can only hope that this young man is not an enemy of our Demoness sect. A group of people felt extremely complicated emotions, yet they had no choice but to wait. Meanwhile, upon entering the Demoness secret realm, Long Che immediately rushed towards the center, where a sword radiating overwhelming demonic aura was located. Then a mysterious energy silently enveloped the sword, purifying its terrifying battle intent. Outside the secret realm, he had already seen the situation here, using his Shenxian eye, knowing that Mu Qinyu was surrounded by the overwhelming battle intent of the Demoness sword. Hence he wasted no time and charged straight in. Of course, Mu Qinyu did not notice his arrival. Who? Suddenly she spat out another mouthful of fresh blood, her aura diminished to its limit. And she was merely a few steps away from the resplendent sword which had the words Demoness sword engraved on its blade. However, these final few steps were exceedingly arduous. She had exerted all her strength, yet each time the astonishing energy erupting from the sword struck her, her entire body had turned into a bloodied figure. I will not give up. For my Demoness sect, for my children, and for that man, who looks quite decent. Ancestor, no matter how difficult the treasures you left behind are to obtain, I will not back down. Demon Phoenix. Stunning ethereal dance. Boom. As soon as Mu Qinyu uttered her final words, her aura surged dramatically, transforming her previously weakened state into that of a goddess. Then in her flowing red garments, her skirt billowed gracefully, her delicate ankles lightly tapped, and the dark space seemed to ripple with waves of water. She resembled a magnificent phoenix gliding through an invisible stream, dancing and soaring as waves of astonishing mysterious energy rushed towards the Demoness sword. At this moment, Long Che was somewhat mesmerized. She was simply too beautiful. This woman in his heart was already a peerless beauty, but now with her graceful and ethereal dance, she became otherworldly, stunning beyond description, every movement tugging at his heartstrings. However, this dance was not meant for admiration, it was meant for attack. The sound of roaring echoed endlessly. When Mu Qinyu moved, unleashing her most powerful and frenzied attack beneath her cultivation, the Demoness sword suddenly burst forth with an indescribable beam of light, soaring upward, finally flying away from its original spot. The sound of its shockwave was like the roar of a demonic dragon rippling through the space with overlapping waves, and then it actually stabbed towards Mu Qinyu. Is this the final blow? Come on. Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes were filled with determination. Yet facing such a terrifying sword, she showed no intention of dodging. Instead, she charged forward directly. Her entire body, clad in red garments, transformed into a soaring dragon, wildly crashing toward the Demoness sword. However, what she did not expect was that when her attack descended and touched the Demoness sword, the layers of aura on the sword instantly vanished into nothingness, all its radiance mysteriously faded. Even under her attack, this sword, which contained terrifying energy, was pushed into boundless darkness. Then with a clang it fell to the hard ground, making not a sound. Did it work? She was shocked internally, clearly not expecting that the sword would so quickly fall silent. After all, she had prepared for the worst, ready to take the sword, even if she were gravely injured. However, the final step was truly unexpected. As she flew to the Demoness sword and picked it up, she recognized it as her own with a drop of blood. As her blood fell onto the Demoness sword, the sword trembled slightly, and then all its auras vanished once again. Is this the Demoness sword? The treasure left by the ancestor? Her mystical energy penetrated to a considerable distance, discovering that apart from this sword, the entire secret realm was actually empty. Perhaps everything within the entire bright mirror was swallowed by this sword. She thought to herself, finally letting out a long breath of relief before flying out of the secret realm. As she stepped out of the secret realm, the entire dark space of the secret realm collapsed with a thunderous roar, being crushed by the surrounding spatial forces, and then vanished as if it had never existed in this world. Outside, upon seeing Mu Qinyu emerge from the secret realm, Elder Gu Yin and other high-ranking members, along with some disciples guarding the area, all exclaimed in surprise. Sect Master, you have succeeded. The Sect Master now holds a sword. Its design is so unique, so majestic. Congratulations, Sect Master. But, Sect Master, how did the secret realm collapse and vanish? Earlier a young man entered the secret realm to find you, but Gu Yin and the others watched as Mu Qianyu emerged from the secret realm clutching a battle weapon whose aura sent shivers through their very souls. Joy surged in their hearts. She had succeeded. Yet amid their elation, astonishment gripped them at Long Che's whereabouts. The secret realm had collapsed, but Long Che had not reappeared. Their first instinct was that he had vanished along with it. Observing their reactions, Mu Qianyu's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she asked, "Who is this person you speak of?" Inside the secret realm she had encountered not a single soul, leaving her equally perplexed. "Master, it is that sovereign, one who aided our Tianma sect in annihilating Qing Yemo and his cohorts. Moreover, he seemed to have known all along that the supreme treasure within the realm was a sword." Gu Yin looked genuinely startled. He could tell Mu Qianyu had never laid eyes upon this figure. Has that benefactor appeared once more? But I did not see him at all. Mu Qianyu's expression shifted to genuine surprise. Clearly, she had never anticipated such an occurrence. Yet we all saw him enter the secret realm. Master, every one of us witnessed his entry. Confusion thickened among the crowd. Mu Qianyu turned toward the now vanished secret realm, her beautiful eyes widening in profound disbelief. Just what manner of being is he? Though she had never met this legendary benefactor, she could easily imagine him as a peerless cultivator. His cultivation unfathomable, his abilities transcendent. Even if the secret realm had dissolved, surely he remained unharmed. And while the others stood frozen in awe, Long Che silently materialized beside Mu Qianyu. His mastery was absolute. With but a subtle artifice, he rendered himself invisible. Even to Mu Qianyu, a profound emperor-level expert, his presence remained utterly undetectable. After a moment of fruitless scrutiny, the group sensed nothing and withdrew their focus entirely, turning instead toward the Tianma, sword gleaming in Mu Qianyu's hands. Mu Qianyu too shook off her earlier bewilderment and soared skyward, descending upon the central plaza of the Tianma sect before a colossal statue. All those behind her ascended in unison, following in a majestic sweeping procession. This statue depicted the founding patriarch of the Tianma sect. Disciple Mu Qianyu humbly reports, today within the Tianma secret realm, I have successfully obtained the Tianma sword. I now lead the disciples of the Tianma sect to pay solemn homage to our founding patriarch, to express our boundless gratitude for his eternal grace. As she spoke, Mu Qianyu placed the Tianma sword reverently before the patriarch's statue. Every disciple of the Tianma sect knelt as one, faces bowed in deep, devout reverence. After paying homage to their ancestors, Mu Qianyu retrieved the Tianma sword, dismissed the assembly, and strode directly toward the sect master's grand hall. Honored elder, please reveal yourself. Inside the magnificent hall, Mu Qianyu's expression grew calm and detached as she addressed the empty air before her. Just moments earlier, though she had failed to detect the benefactor's trace, a sudden, inexplicable touch upon her cheek at the plaza had tightened her heart. She even felt a quiet surge of indignation, yet suppressed it completely. After all, Long Che had stealthily kissed his own wife's cheek, and the sensation betrayed his presence beyond concealment. Only she knew the tremor beneath her composure. One who could vanish without a whisper, extinguish all traces of qi. Such a being was undoubtedly a supreme sovereign. And precisely because she feared this master might endanger her sect, she had hastened to dismiss everyone and retreat alone to her private sanctum. Thus she resolved to confront this seemingly audacious elder herself, though such courage may well prove solitary and reckless. At her words, Long Che stifled a silent chuckle. Of course, revealing himself was out of the question. How could he risk exposing his ruse? Yet having been detected feigning ignorance was no longer tenable. So he altered his voice into a soft, distant murmur, "Go home. The child needs nursing." Hearing this, Mu Qianyu froze instantly. What on earth was that supposed to mean? Such a lofty sovereign uttering such words left her both flustered and incensed, yet she bore it in silence. "Honored elder, though you have done our Tianma sect a great service, should you persist in this humiliation, I shall show no mercy." At the edge of her fury, Long Che felt utterly still. No breath, no ripple, no trace. Mu Qianyu continued demanding his appearance, only to realize after speaking at length that he had dissolved into absolute silence, vanishing without a whisper. Only after a long pause did she steady her breathing and begin carefully pondering the meaning behind his words. How could he possibly know the child needs nursing? Who is he? At that thought, her gaze sharpened with sudden alarm. Disaster. The children must have been exposed. The moment she recalled Long Che's abysmal cultivation, utterly inadequate to protect them, she shot into the air, blazing with urgency, and vanished on the spot. Long Che followed closely, arriving a heartbeat ahead. He entered the cave residence, dispelled its wards, and lay beside the sleeping infants feigning slumber. The sight of their peaceful sleep finally eased the knot of anxiety in Mu Qianyu's chest. Yet even then the unseen, intangible presence lingered like a shadow, her vigilance unrelenting, her peace incomplete. Indeed, a strange certainty settled over her. If she could remain, she must remain. Since this hidden sovereign knew the infant required nursing, the sanctuary itself must already be compromised. Was this figure friend or foe? In recent years she had encountered no one, save those within the illusory heaven prison, whose power approached such magnitude. And all within the illusory heaven prison were peerless sovereigns. If this being hailed from their calamity, lost in thought, Mu Qianyu found no rest. Her gaze drifted tenderly across her children's sleeping forms, a sorrow too deep for words, too heavy for any shoulder but her own. Long Che cracked open an eye watching her anguish, and regretted his mischief. Had he known it would cost her sleep, he'd never have let her sense him. He'd have to soothe her. So he began murmuring, as if in fevered dream, my wife, where have you gone? Not only do the children miss you, their father does too. Miss you. Even he was taken aback by his own words. A sovereign lord of the divine realm, reduced in just 2 days to a devoted homesick husband. Truly it seemed the simplest life. Warm hearth, loving wife, sleeping children, was the most authentic existence of all. Hearing those murmured words, Mu Qianyu paused stunned. She glanced at Long Che, realizing he merely spoke in his sleep, and exhaled softly in relief. Sigh, you're not half bad, man, just pathetically weak in cultivation. Then she approached, gazed down at Long Che sprawled carelessly across the bed, gently pulled the quilt up over him, and catching sight of the 3 infants' identical sprawled poses, couldn't help but burst into quiet laughter. Such sleeping postures, they truly share one father. Still, thank heavens the children inherited none of your mediocrity. Unbeknownst to her, Long Che, pretending to sleep, heard every word and grinned inwardly. I do cultivate. I'll protect my wife, protect my children. Cultivate. I will cultivate. He was astonished by his own acting prowess, never imagining he could feign somnambulism so convincingly, even flailing his arms wildly. Mu Qianyu hastily seized his wrist, terrified he might strike one of the infants. You, why must you be so restless? Had I not returned, who knows whether you'd have struck the child. Though restrained, Long Che refused to halt his performance. Mu Qianyu sighed, gripping his hand firmly, waiting for him to settle. But since the whole act was deliberate, stillness was never part of the plan. In resignation, she bound him with a thread of profound qi, then moments later softened, deeming the restraint inhumane, and released him. No sooner had the restraint lifted than he resumed his antics, leaving Mu Qianyu no choice but to lie beside him, pinning his arms with hers and anchoring his legs beneath hers. Naturally, Long Che was unwilling to accept this restrained sleeping posture. Thus he feigned sleepwalking to turn over. When Mu Qianyu could no longer suppress him, he directly pulled her into his embrace. Only then did he fall asleep, contentedly snoring softly. Hey, let go of me. Struggling in his arms, she lowered her voice, afraid of waking the child. Long Che simply pretended not to notice. In fact, the more she struggled, the tighter he held her. Mu Qianyu, unable to break free, glared at him with wide eyes, fuming silently. Then she stopped moving altogether. Long Che inwardly rejoiced, even pressing his cheek against hers. Crack! He distinctly heard Mu Qianyu grinding her teeth in fury. So he quickly loosened his grip slightly. In some matters, knowing when to stop and retreating to advance is the wisest course. Suddenly the air grew still. Only the child's faint breathing could be heard, and the fragrance drifting from the pillow. Held thus in his arms, Mu Qianyu gazed at the quietly sleeping man beside her, her heart filled with indescribable complexity. What sin had she committed in her past life to end up sleeping beside this man once more? If only he weren't a mere menial disciple. Oh, forget it. The child was already this big. Besides, if it hadn't been for him back, then she would have perished. The Blood Moon Cave. When Lu Zhanshan arrived at the cave with hundreds of demonic beasts, the great old ancestor was not there. His illegitimate son Xin Tiangong was at the most critical juncture of his cultivation, and he had to stand guard meticulously to ensure nothing went wrong. Yet he never expected that on this very night the disciples he had sent out would return so soon. Of course, only one of them came back. Old ancestor. A vast horde of demonic beasts has gathered outside the mountain gate. Senior brother Lu Zhanshan is being held captive by them. We don't know what's happening, but we beg you to come. A disciple reported with a tense expression. Upon hearing this, the great old ancestor's face instantly darkened. Don't you know that your senior brother is emerging from seclusion today? Trembling with fear, the disciple immediately prostrated himself. Yes, we know. But old ancestor, the leader of those beasts, is an earth dragon at the mystic emperor realm. An earth dragon at the mystic emperor realm. The moment these words were spoken, the great old ancestor's expression turned complex. A mystic emperor realm earth dragon. He did not know what his 2 disciples had encountered, but such a formidable beast was enough to warrant his attention. So he soared into the air, and in the blink of an eye arrived outside the mountain gate. By then a pale streak of dawn had appeared in the east. The dim light fell upon the dense dark horde of demonic beasts, exuding an oppressive aura that permeated. Tell your great, old ancestor to get out here now, or well raise your blood moon cave to the ground. The golden rhinoceros king's roar was thunderous and deafening. With the mystic emperor realm earth dragon backing them, all the demonic beasts exuded a formidable momentum, terrifying the blood moon cave disciples into hiding behind the mountain gate's protective seal, too frightened to come out. Beast, how dare you cause chaos at my blood moon cave? A ferocious roar rang out, and the blood moon cave disciples instantly breathed a sigh of relief. The old ancestor is here. Old ancestor. These beasts captured senior brother Zhanshan and killed senior brother Yuanwu. Upon seeing the great, old ancestor appear, the disciples, filled with killing intent, erupted in indignation. What you beasts! Yuanwu was my second disciple. How dare you kill him? The great, old ancestor's gaze turned savage and terrifying, and a surging wave of killing intent spread out like a tide, dense and almost tangible. He himself was a powerful being at the mystic emperor realm. As this oppressive aura radiated outward, even the horde of demonic beasts was shaken. Some of the weaker beasts even began to retreat. Only a few powerful ones, following the earth dragon, stood their ground without fear. Not only will I kill your disciple, but I will also destroy you. The earth dragon's roar was like a thunderclap, and the great, old ancestor's expression turned exceedingly grim. This giant dragon's strength seemed slightly inferior to his own, but once a demonic beast unleashed its full fighting potential, it was terrifyingly formidable. Moreover, this was a dragon. You think you can kill me? My blood moon cave has no enmity with you. We have never interfered with each other. Now you have slain one of my disciples and captured my third disciple. You are simply courting death. Release our third senior brother at once, or none of you will leave alive. A bunch of beasts dared to bellow at my blood moon cave. Behind the great, old ancestor, a host of blood moon cave experts surged forth, including several elder-level figures of considerable power. As they confronted the beasts, many battle weapons radiating deadly intent appeared in their hands. A fierce battle was about to erupt. Release him. Only if you great, old ancestor, come with me. Then I will spare your blood moon cave. The earth dragon had no intention of letting him go. This man was the one the Eastern Wilderness Emperor, who Tianba was searching for. If he handed him over, his own cultivation path would soar to the sky. Perplexed, the great, old ancestor said, "Before we fight, I hope you can clarify. What misunderstanding is there between us?" Faced with such overwhelming force, he opted for a policy of non-aggression if possible. The earth dragon replied, "Blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have. You choose, cooperate quietly or fight to the death." Boom. Upon hearing these words, the great, old ancestor's killing intent erupted completely. A bloody light spread instantly from his hand, and sinister mystical energy coalesced into a massive skull. Blood-bone explosion. With a guttural roar, the enormous blood-red skull hurtled directly into the midst of the demonic beasts. The earth dragon and the other beasts' expressions changed, and they scattered in all directions. Yet despite their swift escape, the explosive blast killed many low-level demonic beasts. There was no help for it. As a mystic emperor realm expert, the great, old ancestor's cultivation was overwhelmingly powerful. Moreover, he had unleashed such a ferocious attack at the outset, clearly intending to intimidate the horde. The beasts blasted away were bleeding profusely. At the great, old ancestor's summons, the blood that permeated the air converged toward his body, then coalesced into an even larger skull. Click, click, click. The massive blood-colored skull's jaws clattered open and shut, emitting a bone-chilling sound, as if gnawing on bones. Destroy his mountain gate. Seeing that the enemy had struck first, killing many of his beasts, the earth dragon gave the order, and the entire horde charged forth. Kill every last beast. The great, old ancestor also commanded his disciples, his voice filled with grief and fury, clearly already in a rage. Schlick. At the very beginning of the melee, Lu Zhanshan, who had been held captive by the demonic beasts, tried to escape, but was impaled through the chest by a beast's horn. Staring at the horn piercing his chest, his eyes held nothing but the deepest terror, even in death. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. And thus the battle between the demonic horde and the blood moon cave instantly erupted. Lu Zhanshan was also killed, which infuriated the great ancestor beyond endurance, driving him to the brink of rage. Although the blood moon cave had numerous disciples, he had only 4 personal disciples. Now Qing Mo Zhanshan and Yuan Wu had all been annihilated, leaving only his illegitimate son Qin. Furthermore, Qin Tiangang was at the most critical stage of his secluded cultivation. If disturbed by these beasts, his fate would be grim. It was easy to imagine how intense the great ancestor's killing intent was at this moment. Roaring sounds echoed continuously, and the heavens and earth trembled violently. Though the number of demon beasts was vast when combined with all the disciples of Blood Moon Cave, the numbers were evenly matched. Thus the fierce battle became intensely protracted with no hope of a quick resolution. Yet casualties continued to mount. Corpses piled up like mountains below. It was a mutual destruction with neither side gaining any advantage. Bang! The great ancestor's body surged with blood energy. In a frenzied clash with the earth dragon, both were sent flying backward, their auras severely depleted from the ongoing battle. Beasts! The great ancestor watched as his disciples were continuously slaughtered, their numbers dwindling sharply, his eyes nearly splitting with fury. Our blood moon cave has no grievance with you. Why must you show no mercy? The earth dragon laughed. You are not worthy to know. Though the battle remained brutal, the earth dragon had already discerned that as time passed, the human cultivators were running out of steam. These demon beasts, however, grew fiercer as they fought. Victory was only a matter of time. Thus the earth dragon had no desire to waste words with the great ancestor. A dragon's roar resounded, and a sky full of dragon shadows pressed down recklessly once more. Crunch! The great ancestor, burning with rage, said, "Then let this cave master slaughter every last one of you beasts." Blood Moon Cave Blood Mist Formation activate. Though the battle had raged on till now, both sides still held their ultimate strength in reserve. Seeing that many disciples of Blood Moon Cave were about to falter, the great ancestor finally unleashed his trump card. As a buzzing sound echoed through the air. From within the mountain gate of Blood Moon Cave, endless dense, blood-colored mist suddenly surged forth. As the blood-colored mist spread, the disciples' eyes suddenly turned crimson. They greedily inhaled the mist, and their auras began to rise step by step. Roar! Seeing this, the earth dragon let out a dragon's roar, its violent sound waves attempting to disperse the blood mist. However, to its surprise, the blood mist was so viscous that it could not be dispersed. Instead, it became even denser under the sound wave vibrations and began to envelop the demon beasts. When the blood mist shrouded the demon beasts, the horde grew restless and agitated. Their eyes also turned into crimson beast pupils, but unlike those of the Blood Moon Cave disciples. For they began to slaughter their own kind. Despicable humans! To resort to such vile tricks, how treacherous! The golden rhino, seeing the bewildering blood mist, had no intention of lingering. It flew directly to the earth dragon's side and joined the battle circle of the earth dragon and the great ancestor. They sought to end the battle quickly. Their target was the great ancestor. As for the lives of the other demon beasts, they were not particularly important. Moreover, they would all die for the Dongwang Emperor. This was a supreme honor. You beasts want to harm our ancestor. You don't have what it takes. Swish, swish, swish. Seeing the golden rhino and a group of other demon beasts gathering toward the earth dragon, a crowd of disciples and elders also flew behind the great ancestor. Each exuded surging auras, their killing intent growing denser, even merging with the great ancestor's aura to form an impenetrable formation. Bang! Mad attacks resounded through heaven and earth once more. However, after this round of attacks, the earth dragon realized that they had fallen into a disadvantage. Moreover, its scales bristled all over, a malevolent force churned inside it, nearly destroying its physical body. You've been poisoned by my vile venom. You will die without a burial place. The great ancestor gritted his teeth, a glint of schadenfreude appearing in his eyes. Despicable human cultivators! You are too evil, too cunning. The earth dragon felt its internal energy being corroded by the toxic chi. Its demonic aura began to stagnate, circulation growing increasingly difficult. Intense fear surged in its eyes. Flee! Suddenly it soared into the sky, ready to escape. Stop, beast! The great ancestor gave an order, and along with his elders and disciples shot forward in hot pursuit. They did not even understand why these demon beasts had attacked them. If they let the earth dragon escape like this, it would be truly pathetic. No matter what, they must slaughter them all to avenge the fallen disciples. That was his bottom line. Otherwise, word would spread, and the Blood Moon Cave would never be able to hold its head high again. Just as they gave chase, a black crow silently alighted on a towering ancient tree outside the battle circle. Its dark little eyes twirled several times, glowing with cunning light. At this moment, the earth dragon, frantically pursued in midair, felt the venomous chi continuously eroding its body, its terror growing ever stronger. Spotting the golden rhino fleeing swiftly beside it, it grabbed it and detonated it in midair. Bang! With the explosion of the golden rhino, a terrifying demonic aura filled the heavens and earth. It enveloped all the Blood Moon Cave experts chasing behind, and several of them were violently shaken, crashing to the ground, completely devoid of life upon landing. Damned beast! That bastard escaped. The great ancestor ground his teeth in fury. The earth dragon had sacrificed a great demon, detonating its demon core to block their pursuit. Now they could no longer catch up. Even though the enemy was heavily poisoned, in its full speed escape, they could not overtake it. Ancestor! That blasted earth dragon got away. The great ancestor's face darkened. Even if it escaped, it is heavily poisoned and won't live long. First, slaughter all the remaining demon beasts. Yes, ancestor. Caw! Suddenly a crow's cry made the great ancestor's expression change abruptly. Everyone's gaze turned toward the direction of the sound. Is it Lord Evil Crow? We pay our respects to Lord Evil Crow. Upon seeing that Crow, the great ancestor, and the others immediately flew over and knelt reverently, their attitudes extremely respectful, as if worshipping an influential figure they dared not offend. Call. Great ancestor, you let the earth dragon escape, yet you don't even know why they came. Blood Moon Cave has lost so many elders and disciples. How will you account for this? The evil crow spoke in human tongue, its voice sounding lofty and inviolable. Hearing this, the great ancestor's expression grew even darker. He had never imagined that the evil crow would appear at such a time. Lord Xie, I will definitely investigate their origins. I will provide you with a satisfactory explanation. The expression of the grand ancestor of the great was so dark it seemed to ooze water. Hurry and investigate. Xie said indifferently. Yes. The grand ancestor of the great with his cold gaze looked towards the battle circle, still raging with fierce combat. The earthen dragon had already departed, and the remaining beasts under the shroud of the blood-red formation began to retreat in defeat. Thus he charged directly into the battle circle, commencing a frenzied slaughter. Boom, boom, boom. The bodies of the beasts exploded in midair. The wretched screams abruptly ceased. The scene turned incredibly bloody. Soon this battle was drawing to a close. There was no way around it. The grand ancestor of the great was far too powerful, and those beasts were simply no match for him. Moreover, the disciples of the Blood Moon Cave had already begun to gain the upper hand, making it even harder for the beast horde to resist. The battle soon entered its final phase. In the end, only a dozen powerful beast leaders remained unvanquished. All the other beasts had been wiped out. Speak. What is your true purpose? The grand ancestor of the great asked with a darkened gaze. You wish for... Boom. Just as a beast attempted to refuse to answer, it was kicked, its head exploding, not allowing any chance for refusal. The other 9 beasts immediately softened. It's the Eastern Emperor. The Eastern Emperor is looking for you. Suddenly one beast uttered these words, shocking everyone, including the Xie standing atop a tree. The Eastern Emperor. The grand ancestor of the great mouth twitched, clearly not expecting that the most powerful being in the eastern region of the Tianxian continent would seek him out. It must be a lie. This beast was merely trying to use the Eastern Emperor's name to intimidate him, to daunt him. With this thought in mind, with another boom, the beast's head exploded. To dare use the name of the Eastern Emperor to intimidate me, how vile. Next, as you speak. The grand ancestor of the great did not give the remaining beasts much chance. Those who did not answer immediately were kicked to their demise. Ferocity that was appalling. Soon only the last beast remained. It was so frightened that it had urinated itself. It was indeed the Eastern Emperor looking for him. But the outcome was so tragic. For a moment it did not know how to respond. Is the Eastern Emperor looking for me? The grand ancestor of the great voice was laced with a heavy threat. With a single glance, the beast prostrated on the ground, utterly terrified and unable to stand. It's the Eastern Emperor looking for you. This is what Lord Tu Long said. It had no choice but to say this. The grand ancestor of the great eyes flickered slightly. The fact that these beasts dared to say this just before dying indicated it was not baseless. But how could the lofty Eastern Emperor seek out such an obscure cave master as him? How could such a thing happen? He could not understand it for a moment. Boom. In a fit of anxiety, he kicked out again. The last surviving beast exploded. At this moment, the elders nearby gathered around. Ancestor, these beasts have been wiped out. How can we investigate their purpose? If it is not possible, we will bring everyone to pursue that earth dragon. What they said might actually be true. But why would the Eastern Emperor seek out our ancestor, and in such an extreme manner? The crowd debated, momentarily at a loss. Their gazes all turned to the grand ancestor of the great who was also quite helpless. Although many disciples from the Blood Moon Cave had perished, they had managed to survive. But if this matter was indeed related to the Eastern Emperor, what should their next step be? In the presence of such a powerful being as the Eastern Emperor, he was no different from a fly. Caw. At that moment, the Xie soared from the branch, and its voice resounded. I will report. Wait for the decree of the Son of God. Upon finishing, its black form transformed into a flurry of feathers, fluttering down like the wind, vanishing without touching the ground, dissolving into nothingness within the void. The grand ancestor of the great was anxious and had no idea what to do. However, if this matter truly involved the Eastern Emperor, even the Son of God would likely be powerless. After much internal conflict, he ground his teeth with a darkened gaze. Then he soared into the air, flying towards the retreat of Qin Tiangang. However, what he did not expect was that Qin Tiangang's training chamber had already exploded. Inside, there was a blood-colored figure, bloodied and lifeless. The fierce battle outside had affected his mind, and unable to control his inner demon, Qin Tiangang had ended up killing himself. No. The grand ancestor of the great howled to the sky, the sound filled with endless sorrow and unwillingness. All 4 of his personally trained disciples had perished. Even his illegitimate son was completely lost. His heart collapsed. Sitting in place, he seemed petrified, unable to move for a long time. The earth dragon that had escaped now descended upon the peak of a massive iceberg. While fleeing, it suppressed the poison within its body to the rear. Now arriving at the iceberg, it directly plunged the rear half of its body into the icy depths, attempting to use the extreme cold to seal the circulating poison. This method proved to be quite effective. The poison surged within its body beneath the ice, but the intensity gradually diminished until it became nearly undetectable. Huff! The earth dragon sighed deeply, its dragon eyes filled with lingering fear. Had it run any slower, it might have already met its demise. As it pondered how to escape from here, a voice suddenly emerged from beneath the ice. This poison's aura is quite impressive, it tempts me to death. This voice came from beneath the eternal ice. The earth dragon's dragon eyes were filled with shock. It saw that beneath the eternal ice another dragon shadow had emerged. The key was that the aura of this dragon was far more formidable than its own. When this aura radiated, it could not help but want to bow in reverence. Creak, creak, creak. The eternal ice shattered inch by inch. A frost dragon emerged from within. It circled the earth dragon once before descending. It spoke human words. Do you wish to die or to live? Hearing this question, the earth dragon trembled and replied, My lord, I want to live. I want to live. The frost dragon nodded. I will first ask my little master. If my little master is willing to save you, then I will save you. If my little master is unwilling, there is nothing I can do. Upon saying this, the frost dragon soared into the sky, vanishing into the horizon. The earth dragon's gaze was complex. Such a powerful frost dragon actually had a master. Then how formidable must its master be? Just as it was pondering this, the frost dragon reappeared in the sky. On its back was a small figure. It was a human child resembling a small bundle. Seeing a little figure on the back of the ice dragon left the earth dragon bewildered. Moreover, it could not sense any fluctuations of aura from this human child, adding to its confusion. However, this ice dragon was not actually an ice dragon. It was a serpent of poison, training in the art of extreme cold and venom, serving as the mount of Zhonglu. Its toxic aura dissipated, and it had transformed into the form of a large python. Yet, that large python still exerted a dragon-like pressure, causing the earth dragon to tremble in fear. Little master, this is the earth dragon. The serpent of poison respectfully inquired after bringing Zhonglu over. Upon seeing the earth dragon, Zhonglu frowned and said, Speak. Why have you come onto my territory? Speak honestly, or I'll make you pay. The high-pitched voice frightened the earth dragon into immediate confession. There was no choice, this little fellow definitely had someone backing it. Otherwise, the serpent of poison wouldn't be so willingly serving as its mount. I came here by accident. I was poisoned and could only rely on the eternal ice here to delay the onset of the poison. Please, Great One, have mercy. If you can save my life, I will be your loyal follower in the future. The earth dragon's plea was met with a glance from the serpent of poison. Is this creature trying to fool a child? It clearly saw the little master's noble status and directly sought to ally with him. What a clever scheme. However, the serpent of poison would not say anything. The divine lord had instructed that as long as the little master was willing, everything would be according to his wishes. Unexpectedly, Zhonglu pouted and said, You are the horse. Your whole family is horses. The earth dragon replied, The serpent of poison said, Zhonglu ran over to the earth dragon, reaching out to touch its earthy yellow scales, then began to poke. Crack! With a crisp sound, a scale was pried off. The earth dragon was stunned. What was this all about? Nevertheless, it did not feel any pain, but its lower body was already frozen by the ice, losing all sensation. But even so, could it withstand such prying? If this continued, it would become a bald dragon. Zhonglu did not continue. He was startled by the black liquid oozing from the wound. Hiss! What is this? Why is your blood so black? It's so scary. The earth dragon's innocent eyes were filled with pleading. Great One, I am poisoned. This black blood is highly toxic. Please do not touch it. Zhonglu was so frightened that he directly threw the dragon scale away and hid to one side, watching the serpent of poison lick its lips eagerly, and said, Little poison, do you eat poison? Why not let it eat these poisons instead? The serpent of poison was instantly excited. It had been waiting for this sentence. The earth dragon also breathed a sigh of relief. This little master was quite nice. But what was the serpent of poison planning to do? It slithered down and bit its own body, creating an enormous suction that was greedily drawing its own blood. It seemed like it was about to drain itself dry. Are you saving me or harming me? The earth dragon felt a collapse in its heart, yet the serpent of poison had already stopped. Why do I feel so dizzy? The earth dragon sensed it was about to faint. It's just blood loss, the poison is gone. Just eat a few more demon beasts to replenish, and you'll be fine. The serpent of poison said casually, yet internally it felt quite delighted. It discovered that after absorbing the earth dragon's poison, its own strength had improved. It felt amazing. Thank you. The earth dragon was deeply grateful and immediately knelt down to Zhonglu. Zhonglu was taken aback. Is that it? Little Poison is so impressive. The Serpent of Poison chuckled. Little Master, we should head home for breakfast, otherwise the Great One will scold me. It was certainly inappropriate to have brought Zhonglu here so early in the morning. All right then, my father has prepared delicious food again. Hee little dragon, do you want to come with me to eat? Zhonglu looked at the earth dragon's waning aura and actually began to care about it. The earth dragon was deeply moved, but worried in its heart. What kind of existence were this little fellow's family? With such cultivation, would it not be looked down upon after arriving? After all, its mount was such a formidable serpent of poison. However, this was an opportunity to seek refuge with a powerful person. If it could hold on to this child's thigh, a prosperous future would be within reach. With thoughts racing, the earth dragon mustered its courage and spoke. Thank you, little master. Then I shall obey your orders. Zhonglu smiled. Let's go. With that, he jumped onto the back of the serpent of poison, and the earth dragon soared into the air following suit. Though it was anemic, it could still fly. Soon they arrived at the mountain where Longche resided. However, after the serpent of poison landed, it directly disappeared, fearing that Mu Qianyu would see it. This was a request from its master. It was their secret. But the earth dragon was different. It was completely unaware of such matters, so when the massive body landed, Mu Qianyu, who had just walked out of her cave, was startled. Zhonglu was right beside that gigantic earth dragon. She didn't even have time to think, rushing forward in an instant to wrap Zhonglu in her arms, her beautiful eyes glaring at the earth dragon. Her fierce posture even startled the earth dragon. I mean, no offense, it was the little master who brought me here. The earth dragon hurriedly explained. This explanation left Mu Qianyu dumbfounded. Little master? You mean? She looked at Zhonglu, who was about to say something, when she suddenly recalled the secret with her father, and smiled. Mother, I brought it here. It's injured and anemic, so I brought it to give it a boost. Mother, could you get it some food? Mu Qianyu was even more confused. Son, you aren't lying, are you? You brought it here. She truly couldn't believe that this imperial-level demon beast was brought here by her own son. Could things be so simple? The earth dragon was also somewhat puzzled. For instance, why did the serpent of poison suddenly vanish, and why was this child telling lies? There must be a secret behind this. Thus it dared not speak, fearing to expose itself. As long as it could hold on to this little child's thigh, it should secure a place here. Moreover, just look at this mountain peak filled with countless spiritual herbs, layered seals, and restrictions, showcasing the grandeur of a celestial sacred place. It was far superior to its barren homeland. Mother, I'm hungry. It smells so good. What has father cooked again? Zhonglu said as he directly ran off. It wasn't that he was running away to conceal anything. He was genuinely hungry, and the smell of food was simply too enticing, stirring the cravings in his stomach. Watching him run off, Mu Qianyu turned her gaze to the earth dragon. What kind of demon are you? State your name. The earth dragon could only answer honestly. I am from the Flower Fruit Pond Water Curtain Cave. Mu Qianyu frowned. How were you injured? Why are you here with my son? Her eyes held a deep sense of vigilance. After all, the expert who appeared at the headquarters of the Demoness sect already knew her child's hiding place. And now an imperial-level earth dragon suddenly appeared on this mountain, which had long been deserted. There must be something amiss, and she had to be on guard. Madam, I am poisoned and being pursued. I fled here and encountered the young master, which is how I arrived at this place. The earth dragon, sensing Mu Qianyu's vigilant gaze, answered honestly. After all, this woman's aura surpassed its own. Mu Qianyu's eyes flickered. This reason was not just similar to her own arrival here, it was almost identical. However, she pressed further. So who is pursuing you? The earth dragon originally wanted to conceal it. After all, the other party was also human, and the great ancestor was also human. Surely humans would help their own kind, right? But with matters having come to this point, it had no choice but to reveal everything. Under the eaves, one must bow their head. Madam, it is the Blood Moon Cave, the great ancestor. Upon hearing this, Mu Qianyu's gaze suddenly turned cold. Again, it was that detestable great ancestor. Why did he always drive people to this desolate mountain? She felt a sense of shared plight with the earth dragon. Her cold gaze was too captivating, startling the earth dragon. Madam, what is wrong? Mu Qianyu bit her silver teeth, took a deep breath, and glanced at the earth dragon. Even as a peak-level demon beast, can't you transform into human form? Don't scare my child. She intended to have the earth dragon take her to the Blood Moon Cave immediately to seek revenge on the great ancestor. But given the other party's unknown origins, she couldn't recklessly act. So she endeavored to suppress her anger towards the great ancestor. The earth dragon smiled upon hearing this. Madam, I can do it. Well, I will transform right now. As it spoke, it transformed, and the massive earth dragon vanished in place. In the nearby grass, a pale-faced young man appeared. Mu Qianyu coldly stated, Don't hide, come out. The earth dragon hesitated. Madam, I am not wearing any clothes. Mu Qianyu frowned, seeing Longche coming out of the cave. She immediately approached. Longche, there is someone over there, without clothes. I'll lend him something you don't wear. Longche had been aware of the earth dragon's sudden visit, but still pretended to be surprised. Who is he? Why has another person suddenly appeared? Could he be a bad person? Why is he naked in broad daylight? My dear, if he dares to disrespect you, I will kill him. With each word his emotions grew more fervent. Protecting my dear is a husband's duty. He is not a bad person. You go back and get him some clothes first. Long Che nodded. Oh, we'll follow your arrangement, my dear. He then entered the cave to fetch a piece of clothing. The earth dragon was grateful and put on the clothes as it emerged from the grass. It fits well, but why did you run over without clothes? Long Che pretended to be an ordinary person asking a multitude of questions. Don't ask so much, or just take care of the children and feed them. They'll go and ask about the specific situation. Mu Qianyu said as she walked to another side. Long Che nodded and went to serve food for the children. However, Mu Qianyu's conversation with the earth dragon was crystal clear to his ears. Where is the Blood Moon Cave? Is the great Yin ancestor currently in the Blood Moon Cave? Mu Qianyu urgently wanted to know the whereabouts of the Blood Moon Cave. The Blood Moon Cave is one of the 36 caves under the command of the son of the evil god, yet its location is the most elusive of them all. For so long she had not found the entrance to the Blood Moon Cave. Once found, she would surely annihilate the great Yin ancestor and flatten his Blood Moon Cave. Initially she had been poisoned and was being pursued, and there were other experts as well which forced her to flee to this place. Otherwise, with her strength, how could the great Yin ancestor be her opponent? She could eradicate the evil god leading the 36 caves. How could she not deal with just one cave master under him? The Blood Moon Cave is located in the illusory Moon Mountain Range, a series of towering mountains stretching as far as the eye can see. The Earth Dragon planned to share everything it knew to gain favor and goodwill, hoping to stay. Take me there. You want to go to the Blood Moon Cave? The Earth Dragon was startled. It had just escaped from a brush with death. Let's go, stop talking nonsense. However, Mu Qianyu no longer said anything. Her aura surged as she soared into the sky. Madam, The Earth Dragon, although the poison within was gone, had just escaped from death, having endured a fierce battle, was too exhausted. Before finishing its sentence, it collapsed to the ground unconscious. You? Mu Qianyu was speechless upon seeing this. However, she realized that this fellow was not pretending, it was genuinely weak. She had no choice but to land and take out a pill from her spatial ring to give it to him. Sighing, she acknowledged that they couldn't go yet. At least they had to wait for the Earth Dragon to recover, otherwise if they hadn't found the Blood Moon Cave and it fainted, it would be troublesome. Why is he dead? Long Che walked over, surprised at seeing the Earth Dragon lying on the ground. He's fine, he just needs to sleep it off. Come on, let's go eat. Mu Qianyu did not want Long Che to interact too much with the Earth Dragon. After all, he was merely a mortal, and it was safer to maintain some distance from such a powerful being. Long Che felt her concern for him and smiled as he said, "All right, my dear, the buns I made this morning. They are made from coarse grain fairy wheat flour with meat fillings of beef and pork and vegetarian fillings of chives and eggs, spicy tofu. The children all love them." Listening to Long Che's words, Mu Qianyu did not know how to feel. Pork, beef, chives, eggs. Is that even human language? That pig is not just a pig. It's a flying golden pig. The cow is even less a cow. It's a heavenly wild beast. Even the eggs are not chicken eggs. They are from the colorful snow sparrows. Each one is a super great demon. How could they be used to make buns? A mere mortal doing what only a mortal should do. This guy is truly a peculiar one. An anomaly. Of course, although Mu Qianyu was reluctant to believe it, the truth was undeniable. She had to attribute everything to Long Che taking advantage of the immortal in this place. Otherwise, he could never do such unbelievable things in his lifetime. Delicious. So good. Even though her heart was conflicted, her appetite would not. After taking the buns, Mu Qianyu immediately turned into a little greedy cat, munching on buns with the three little ones drinking the fragrant porridge made from immortal herbs. If it weren't for that unresolved matter weighing on her, living a peaceful life with this man who can cook would also be a form of happiness. Daddy, look at my mother. She's already eaten 8 buns. Zissou was busy counting the number of buns Mu Qianyu. Upon hearing this, Mu Qianyu immediately stopped chewing. No way, mother hasn't eaten that much, as she needs to maintain her figure. But it's 8, mother. Daddy ate 4, you ate 8, I remember. Zissou had no idea about her mother's inner. She looked at him with pleading eyes. Dear child, please don't say any more. Seeing Mu Qianyu's flustered expression, Long Che helped to defuse the situation. Children, can your father ask you a question? Sure. Tell me, do you think your mother should be chubby and plump or thin and withered? Of course she should be chubby and plump. The more your mother eats, the better your father's cooking must be, right? Right? Then how many buns do you hope your mother can eat? 100. 1,000. 10,000. Mu Qianyu couldn't help but laugh at the children's words. She glanced at the man beside her, noting, "Go for it, my wife, aim for 10,000. Long Che teased. You could eat 10,000. Even if I could eat 10,000, you wouldn't be able to make them. As long as my wife can eat, I can make as many as she wants. Only you can. I'm full. I'm going out to see that person. Should I bring him 2 buns? My wife, do as you wish. Mu Qianyu nodded and grabbed 2 buns before walking out. The earth dragon was too weak. 2 buns could completely replenish his energy. Boom. Just as she stepped out of the cave, a surge of immense energy erupted within her. Her cultivation, which had regressed due to years of suppression in the Li Huan heavenly prison, suddenly surged again, stabilizing in the realm of the 4th-level mystic emperor in the blink of an eye. Moreover, there was no impact on the outside world. Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes widened, filled with disbelief. This bun has issues. She could guess that the reason for such a huge change was entirely due to eating a few buns. The meat filling from those powerful beasts combined with the spirit herb filling created a complementary energy, making her feel as if she were consuming a pill. She guessed correctly. These buns were not just ordinary buns. Not only were the ingredients of the highest quality, but the various seasonings were also proportioned like pills, allowing her to instantly elevate her cultivation without affecting the outside world. Precisely for this reason. What puzzled her was, why didn't the children have such a reaction? Could it be that I ate too many? Her heart was filled with confusion. But soon the joy within her heart replaced the confusion. After years without a promotion, her cultivation finally advanced again, which meant that the chances of finding the artifact she had lost were even greater. Suppressing her excitement, she stepped towards the location of the earth dragon. At that moment, the earth dragon had awakened, and the pill Mu Qianyu gave him had already taken effect. However, he was too hungry and didn't dare to move. Everything around felt too sacred. The goat in the pen was a super demon. Oh, just one call made his heart race with fear. In the distant pond, dragons soared and whales leaped, scaring him into muttering, "Don't see me, don't see me." At that moment, the earth dragon was staring at a mouse, eyes filled with longing. If possible, eating that mouse would allow his strength to return to its peak. Unfortunately, he didn't even dare to chase the mouse. That mouse's strength was comparable to his. What kind of place was this? In the eastern region of the Tianxian continent, how could there be a place where immortals reside? Shocked internally, he suddenly saw Mu Qianyu approaching and immediately stood still, trying hard to adopt a respectful demeanor. "You are awake. Eat these 2 buns." The moment Mu Qianyu offered the buns, she inexplicably felt a sense of reluctance. In her eyes, the buns she was offering were no longer just buns, but 2 super immortal pills. Upon seeing the buns, the earth dragon's eyes instantly lit up. However, in the next second, he trembled all over, his eyes filled with intense fear. The 2 buns in his hands were enveloped in thick mist. He saw the phantom images of demon beasts swirling within, and the aroma of spirit herbs filled the heavens and the earth as if he had entered a fantastical world. In this world, every breath he took turned into immortal energy, and with each inhale and exhale, the injuries within him were restored to their original state. "What are you dawdling for? Hurry and eat." Mu Qianyu's words snapped him out of the illusion. He clutched the 2 buns tightly and immediately knelt down. "Thank you for your grace, my lord. Thank you, my lord. My life is yours from now on. I will follow your orders whether facing mountains of knives or seas of fire." Isn't this reaction a bit too intense? Mu Qianyu was somewhat surprised, but upon recalling that the buns had even elevated her cultivation, she realized that his reaction was not surprising. "Go eat over there, but be quiet." Mu Qianyu pointed to a nearby corner. "Yes, my lord." The earth dragon was overjoyed and hurriedly took the 2 buns to the corner to start eating. With every bite, his complexion changed color, and his eyes were filled with indescribable shock. As the 2 buns went down, suddenly a storm of sand and stones erupted around him, causing the mountains to tremble. As the earth dragon, he naturally possessed the top-level control over the power of the earth, but after eating the 2 buns, his earth techniques began to show signs of going berserk. Mehaha. Just then, a sheep in the nearby pen let out a soft bleat, and his overwhelming energy was immediately sealed, all his aura hidden within forcibly suppressed. With this suppression, that energy drilled into his dantian, creating a tremendous wave in his qi si, becoming the source of his own energy. His aura surged upward, actually advancing another realm. The 2 buns had made him a 2nd-level mystic emperor. Gulp. The earth dragon was filled with shock, feeling as if he were in a dream. Meanwhile, Mu Qianyu at the cave entrance watched this scene with great curiosity. What on earth is happening? Perhaps, if someone without cultivation eats it, there won't be any reaction. Otherwise, all 3 buns were eaten, and Long Shay also ate. Why was there no reaction? It must be like this. What a pity for this guy. If only his cultivation were slightly higher. Eating such meals daily shouldn't make him this weak, right? What is my wife talking about? Suddenly Long Shi's voice came from beside her, causing Mu Qianyu to blush. Just as she was thinking about him, he appeared. "Have you finished eating?" "Yes, I've finished, and the children are full too. I'm taking them fishing. Mommy, Daddy is taking us fishing. We can eat fish again today. Do you want to go, Mommy?" "Huh. Why is there an extra uncle over there?" Bai Ji and Zi Su, having never seen the earth dragon, asked curiously. Chong Lu also looked puzzled. "Huh? Why isn't that dragon here anymore? Could that person have transformed into a dragon?" "Which dragon are you talking about, little brother?" "That one. Little Huang. Where did it go? Hearing this, the earth dragon hurried over and knelt down. Thank you for the name, young master. I am Little Huang. Are you Xiao Huang? Zhonglu looked incredulous. He never expected that what he casually said would turn out to be true. Indeed, master. I am the earth dragon. Xiao Huang's attitude was incredibly devout. This family was composed of super powerful beings, especially that man. The moment he appeared, although there was no trace of aura emanating from him, an intense impulse of reverence surged within, compelling one to kneel before him under the pretense of bestowing a name. The most crucial thing right now was to please and please again. Then can you transform into a dragon? Baiji expressed her doubts about Zhong Lao's words. Is that possible? Xiao Huang looked up at Long Che and Mu Qinyu. Go ahead and transform. Long Che nodded. All right, master. Long Che could see that this fellow was eager to ingratiate himself, trying to form connections, but he said nothing. After all, as long as the children were happy, he could endure. If this were in the past, he wouldn't even take a glance at such trash. Bang! After Xiao Huang finished speaking, he soared into the sky. Amidst a swirl of yellow mist, a gigantic dragon head emerged from the clouds, speaking human words. Master, I am Xiao Huang. He. The giant dragon grinned, but unexpectedly, Su jumped up, leaping into the air and delivering a kick to the earth dragon's face. Don't smile, you look really ugly when you do. This sudden scene left everyone stunned. Even Long Che was taken aback. Has this second daughter's soaring technique improved so much? Spare me, master. I won't smile anymore. Xiao Huang, after being kicked, bared his teeth in pain, clutching his head and refraining from laughing. Transform back. Yes, master. Xiao Huang immediately transformed back into human form, a clear footprint on his face. That kick was quite ruthless. Mu Qinyu said, Xiao Huang, we are not your masters. If you want to join us, how will you prove your sincerity? She still remained cautious about the sudden appearance of this earth dragon. After all, aside from her, the three little ones, and this man, with no cultivation, could not possibly deal with a dragon. Better to be careful. The little one. The little one can reveal a secret about the Tianshu Eastern Domain's demon realm. I wonder if the esteemed one knows about the command from the Eastern Emperor. Upon hearing this, Long Che smiled knowingly, but Mu Qinyu frowned. The command from the Eastern Emperor. Could it be that something significant is about to happen in the Eastern Domain? Speak. Indeed, esteemed one. The Eastern Emperor has issued a command throughout the Eastern Domain's demon realm, ordering us to find the Grand Yin Ancestor within 3 days and bring him to the Imperial City. Upon hearing this, Mu Qinyu grew even more puzzled. What kind of existence was the Eastern Emperor? He was the most powerful Xian Emperor in the entire Eastern continent. Although the Grand Yin Ancestor had some renown, he hardly caught the eye of the Eastern Emperor. That he would mobilize the entire Eastern Domain's demon realm to search for the Grand Yin Ancestor sounded unbelievable. Is this true? Absolutely. Esteemed one, I barely escaped with my life because of this matter. Unfortunately, the Grand Yin Ancestor is treacherous poisoning in the midst of battle, making it hard to defend against. I have fallen to such a state. Now that I still have my life, I owe it all to the Master's righteous rescue. Mu Qinyu's gaze instinctively turned to Long Che, subconsciously seeking his opinion. But thinking about what Long Che might know, she retracted her bewildered gaze, looking at Xiao Huang. Let's go, take me to the Blood Moon Cave. After saying this, she turned to the three little ones. You stay at home with your father, and be sure to listen to him. Mother will be back soon. Mother, aren't you going fishing together? Mother has something very important to do. You all go play, and listen to your father. As she spoke, she looked at Long Che. Do you remember the sound transmission talisman I gave you? If anything happens, notify me immediately. Long Che smiled, saying, My dear, do you really have to leave? Mu Qinyu nodded. Rest assured, I will be back very soon. After advancing to the 4th tier, Xian Emperor, she felt quite confident. Currently, in the entire Eastern Domain, there were hardly any super powerhouses at this level. And the strength of the Grand Yin Ancestor in her eyes was nothing much at all. Alright, you go. Remember to take this. Long Che shrugged, knowing she still wanted to gather information, and handed her a piece of peace talisman. Mu Qinyu smiled, accepting it, nodding, without saying a word. Then she soared into the air, with Xiao Huang closely following behind. Father, I know. Mother wants to go back to fight the bad guys. Those bad guys are truly terrible, but unfortunately I can't defeat them. Can Father defeat them? The three little ones asked one after another, and Long Che quickly shifted the topic to the joyful matter of fishing. Children, adult matters are not something you should worry about. What we should focus on is how to catch big fish. Giggle, Father, to catch big fish we need to go to the sea. There are no big fish in the small pond. Baiji's words surprised Long Che. While simple, they were rich in philosophy. Many people live their lives in mediocrity, not due to a lack of ability, but because their vision is insufficient, choosing incorrectly from the start. Then fine, today we shall go to the sea to catch big fish. Long Che said, using Xian energy to lift the three little ones into the air, and then they descended into the pond he had dug. With a thought, the small pond suddenly stirred, waves crashing as it transformed into an endless ocean. Is that the sea? There's so much water. Enough to drink for a lifetime. Mother said the seawater is salty and cannot be drunk. Why can fish drink it, but we cannot? The strange questions and peculiar expressions became increasingly adorable. An island appeared in the sea and Long Che descended. He gave each of the 3 little ones a fishing rod accompanying them while focusing on playing with them. With him around, the great demons in the water dared not make a sound. Some even actively offered their services, hooking small fish onto the hooks, and soon the joyful laughter of the 3 little ones echoed. Blood Moon Cave. When Xiao Huang brought Mu Qinyu back here, it was already dark. There was no helping it, he had escaped too hastily and had no memory of the route. When he originally went, it was also Lu Zhanshan, the apprentice of the Grandine ancestor, who led the way. When he escaped, he had no time to memorize the route. They searched all night, but thankfully the next day, they finally spotted the entrance to Blood Moon Cave. However, it was a total bust. The entire Blood Moon Cave was a river of blood devoid of any life. This place has been wiped out. Mu Qianyu's expression changed, unable to fathom that such a thing could happen. Beside her, the Earth Dragon was also stunned, stammering in shock. It is. The aura belongs to Lord He. Mu Qianyu furrowed her beautiful eyes upon hearing this. Lord He. Xiao Huang's eyes carried a look of fear. Yes. It's that black bear demon from Fengling Valley. It possesses strength at the late stage of the second-order Mystic Emperor. Mu Qianyu cast him a glance. Don't make such a fuss. You are also a second-order Mystic Emperor, now no need to be afraid. Xiao Huang suddenly realized and beamed with joy. You are right, my lady. All thanks to your grace. Mu Qianyu narrowed her eyes. Stop flattering me. Find him for me. We must find the Dayan Patriarch. Yes. Xiao Huang dared not dawdle and immediately searched for the residual aura of the black bear demon. But they traced all the way to a great distance outside the Blood Moon Cave, where all auras vanished. My lady, it's gone. Xiao Huang looked helpless. It's gone. Mu Qianyu also sensed that the aura had thoroughly disappeared from this spot. They probably flew away from here. My lady, what now? Back to the Blood Moon Cave. With that, Mu Qianyu soared into the air and returned to the Blood Moon Cave within a few breaths. Previously, they had not examined it closely. Upon returning, they found pools of blood everywhere. Many buildings had collapsed in the battle, reduced to ruins. My lady, that should be the treasure cave. Xiao Huang seemed to have a keen sense of smell. Mu Qianyu frowned. You are a dragon, why are you acting like a dog? Just because your name sounds like doggy doesn't mean you have canine traits. You flatter me, my lady. I wasn't complimenting you. Let's go have a look. Although the Dayan Patriarch was no longer here, if they could find some treasures from the Blood Moon Cave's treasury, it wouldn't be a wasted trip. After some searching, they indeed discovered a vast array of treasures in the treasure cave. In fact, though the place appeared dilapidated and collapsed, the treasures here were all intact. That Lord He seems to have come for the Dayan Patriarch too. If he hands the Dayan Patriarch over to the Eastern Wasteland Emperor, he will be rewarded with rare treasures, so he probably doesn't care for these. Xiao Huang said. These words stirred Mu Qianyu's confusion again. Why exactly would the Eastern Wasteland Emperor mobilize all the demon beasts in the Eastern Domain to find the Dayan Patriarch? Xiao Huang frowned and said, rumor has it that an incredibly powerful expert is looking for the Dayan Patriarch. As for who that supreme being is, an insignificant ant like me has no right to know. Mu Qianyu frowned again. You know nothing. A supreme being looking for the Dayan Patriarch. What for? It makes no sense. Could it be related to the child of the evil god? She simply couldn't figure out the reason. Finally, with a wave of her hand, she swept all the treasures into her ring and prepared to leave. She was worried about Long Che and the 3 dumplings, so she had no intention of lingering. However, in the very next moment, black clouds rolled in from all directions. The wind carried sounds like demonic roars, heart-stirring and earth-shaking in momentum. This is... Mu Qianyu's eyes turned cold as she looked at the dark wind pressing in from afar. Behind her, Xiao Huang was stunned by the sudden violent storm, his mouth wide open and speechless. It's the beekeeper of the secluded valley. Mu Qianyu said, a hint of wariness in her voice. It's him, that old, undying beekeeper, Yuxi Mystic Sovereign. He must have been attracted by the soaring blood aura here. The beekeeper of the secluded valley, Yuxi Mystic Sovereign, had a fearsome reputation. Xiao Huang knew him, while having encountered him more than once, each time a narrow escape. This Yuxi Mystic Sovereign was a Mystic Sovereign realm expert. Legend said he raised bees in remote valleys, but his bees were not ordinary. They were bloodthirsty maniac bees. They had an astonishing sensitivity to bloodshed. Whenever a fierce battle stained the ground with blood, the beekeeper would move with the wind, driving his bees to suck blood and brew honey. Wherever they passed, whether living or dead, the bloodthirsty bees would drain every drop of blood, leaving nothing behind. Yuxi Mystic Sovereign alone with his swarm of bees could rival a large-scale sect force in the east. His personal strength had not reached the Mystic Emperor realm. He was only at the 8th order Mystic Sovereign state. But the number of his venomous bees was terrifying. Even a Mystic Emperor would not dare to fight them lightly. Thus for a long time he had existed as an anomaly in the eastern domain. My lady, there are too many of those venomous bees. They surround us from all directions. What should we do? Xiao Huang was already having second thoughts. Break out. Seeing the Blood Moon Cave almost completely surrounded by the rapidly approaching bloodthirsty bees, Mu Qinyu acted immediately, and the two charged in one direction. They had to tear open an escape route and flee. It was the wisest choice not to fight heat against this sky-obscuring swarm of venomous bees. Rumble after rumble, as they charged through the swarm, was instantly alarmed. In a split second, countless bloodthirsty bees surged toward them like a tidal wave rolling through the sky, stirring up a terrifying hurricane. The terrifying momentum made Xiao Huang use all his strength to keep close to Mu Qinyu. He dared not imagine what would happen if he fell behind. How could he alone face such a massive swarm of bloodthirsty bees? My! As the two rushed past on top of the sky-obscuring bee swarm, an old man in blood-red robes, sitting cross-legged, slowly opened his eyes. There are survivors, and with considerable cultivation. This old man was precisely Yuxi. Seeing Mu Qinyu and the other, he was somewhat surprised. After all, anyone who could survive such a bloody battlefield was no ordinary person. After sensing their cultivation levels, he showed no fear. Instead, he became even more excited. His gloomy, cold eyes fixed on the two charging into the swarm, and he let out a strange cackle. A fourth-order mystic emperor. Who is this woman? Such high cultivation. Perfect. I'll use your mystic emperor blood to elevate my strength to the ninth-order mystic sovereign realm. Yuxi was already on the verge of breaking through to a higher realm. Seeing these two, he saw a rare opportunity, and certainly would not let them slip away. In the next second, as his aura trembled, the sky-obscuring bloodthirsty bees emitted a deafening buzz, and actually coalesced into a giant figure. Then it punched toward the two. Oh no, that old bastard Yuxi is attacking us. Xiao Huang's heart raced. It was already difficult just to break out of the swarm, and now they were being specifically targeted by Yuxi. His heart filled with deep worry. Mu Qianyu's beautiful eyes hardened. Just as she was about to unleash her killer move to confront the bee giant, a flash of light burst from her chest. In the blink of an eye, the bee giant exploded and countless bees fell to the ground in a thick layer. Huh, this is a protective charm. Mu Qinyu was astonished. It was the protective charm Long Che had given her before they set out. Mu Qinyu was utterly astonished, completely unprepared for the overwhelming destructive power of the talisman that Long Che had casually gifted her. My lord, hurry and run. The poisonous bees surged once more. De Huang thought it was a path opened by Mu Qianyu's emergence. Upon seeing a gap in the swarm of poisonous bees, he immediately rushed out. Mu Qinyu had no time to be shocked as she dashed directly out from the shattered giant, quickly breaking free from the encirclement. Inside the encirclement was the territory of Yuxia, and once she broke free, she would instantly gain control of the situation. At this moment, Yuxia was dumbfounded. What a powerful woman. He had just unleashed his most formidable martial art, the Shura Bee Demon technique, only to have it easily countered by her. Instantly, he found himself trapped among the swarm, hiding in fear of being pursued by Mu Qinyu. Damn it. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll think this emperor is easy to deal with. After breaking free from the swarm, Mu Qinyu spotted Yuxia's hiding place, her entire aura erupting as she struck down in that direction. Boom. With this strike, the power of her fourth tier, Xian Emperor realm erupted. The previously intimidated Yuxia immediately summoned the bee swarm to block her attack, while he fled in panic. If he were still in the swarm, he would hold absolute dominance, but now that she had broken through, his combat power drastically diminished, making him no match for her. Yet despite his quick reaction, he could not escape the massive imprint of Mu Qianyu's Xianqi attack. With a single palm strike, he was slammed into the ground, creating a deep pit. Witnessing this, De Huang was both shocked and delighted. But as he looked up, he saw the bloodthirsty swarm of bees rushing in from all directions, and exclaimed, "My lord, the bloodthirsty bees are coming again, we should leave." The sound of countless bloodthirsty bees flapping their wings was like muffled thunder rolling across the sky. Mu Qinyu coldly snorted, "Yuxia, today I'll spare you once. If there's a next time, this emperor will make you and your bees a thing of the past." With that, she transformed into two streaks of light and vanished into the sky. Cough, cough, cough. After a while, Yuxia, the Xian Emperor, finally crawled out of the deep pit, blood trickling from his mouth, his poisoned armor dented and in tatters. That palm strike nearly killed him. He looked towards the sky, his expression filled with disbelief and terror. Strange. What kind of treasure does she possess? My trump card has never failed, yet it was so easily neutralized by her. The shock brought by the talisman far surpassed the threat Mu Qinyu posed to him. However, this time he had escaped with his life. Since the opponent had already left, he temporarily abandoned any thoughts of advancing his cultivation and summoned a massive number of poisonous bees to devour the corpses littered across the Blood Moon Cave. At this moment, Long Che was happily playing on the ocean island with three little ones. Daddy, look, this is the fish I caught. It's so big. Bai Ji exclaimed, having just reeled in another fish, dancing with excitement. Sister, you haven't caught as many as I have. Just look at my bucket, it's filled to the brim. Zissou, with a temperament that exuded a sense of calm, had caught a fish and remained quiet, steadily pulling in one fish after another. Among the three siblings, Zissou had caught the most, having over 10 fish, her bucket nearly overflowing. In contrast, Zhonglu was restless, occasionally moving the fishing rod and at other times poking at small holes along the shore. He managed to catch a few crabs, but hadn't caught a single fish. However, Long Che had no demands of them. As long as they were having fun, he was happy with whatever they did. Just as they were enjoying themselves, Zhonglu suddenly had a strange idea. Splash! He saw that he couldn't catch any fish, so he dove headfirst into the water. He was going to dive for fish. Oh, my big son! Long Che saw this and couldn't help but smile wryly, diving in right after him. The little guy didn't even know how to swim and just jumped in like that. It was too dangerous. Even though this vast ocean was created by him, it still posed dangers. After all, the little one was only 4 years old, and such enormous waves of profound energy were a great challenge for him. However, Long Che did not immediately help him, but wanted to observe his son's potential. Previously, Zhonglu had surprised him with his 1,000 gene drop technique, and now being in the water was also an opportunity for training. So he, as a father, also started to act a bit unorthodox. Son, hold your breath. If you can't catch any fish, we won't. His voice reached Zhong Lao's ears, and upon hearing this, Zhonglu flailed his little arms and legs, excitedly swimming towards a small fish. Unfortunately, his speed was a bit slow compared to the small fish. After chasing for a while without catching it, he was about to run out of breath when suddenly a large sea turtle appeared before him. The sea turtle was drifting leisurely, and Zhonglu swam over, grabbed it, and began to float towards the surface. Why is this sea turtle so docile? As he surfaced, Zhonglu gasped for air, his big eyes filled with confusion. Daddy, is this a sea turtle? Why isn't it struggling? Why is it so docile? Long Che chuckled. Perhaps this is an old sea turtle. An old sea turtle is still a sea turtle. Sister, look. I caught a sea turtle. It's so big. After catching the sea turtle, Zhonglu became excited. This turtle was bigger than him and heavier than all the fish Bai Ji and Zissou had caught combined. He was bouncing with joy. Seeing his son so happy, Long Che was also delighted, and he was surprised that Zhonglu had held his breath for such a long time. Not bad, lad. You must have been under the water for half a stick of incense. This physique, this talent, there are plenty of martial arts suitable for you to practice. After some thought, he took out a martial art from his storage ring. The art of the dragon swimming in the vast sea is suitable for the elementary education of infant martial arts. It's just right for you. After pulling out this martial art, Long Che waved at Zhonglu, who was riding on the back of the sea turtle. Son, you caught such a big sea turtle, so Daddy has a reward for you. Upon hearing there was a reward, Zhonglu became interested. Daddy, what's the reward? Is it this book? Long Che smiled, nodded, and tossed the martial arts book into the air. Buzz! A golden light flashed, and the martial art transformed into a small golden dragon, which then dove into the sea. Son, do you like this little golden dragon? Daddy, it's so cute. But it ran away. You should chase it. If you catch it, you can become its little master. Daddy, I'm going to chase it now. This little golden dragon was the spirit of the art of the dragon swimming in the vast sea. Long Che chose to let his son practice this martial art because it was simple and fun, allowing for a playful learning experience. It was a well-thought-out decision. Moreover, most importantly, it was safe. This golden dragon would gradually help Zhonglu cultivate without any adverse effects on his body. Seeing Zhonglu happily playing with the little golden dragon laughing in the water, Bai Ji and Zissou felt envious. Daddy, I want to play with that too. I want it too. The two stopped fishing and clung to Long Che for martial arts. Don't worry, Daddy has prepared. When Mu Qianyu returned, she found the cave empty. After searching the hillside and finding no trace of anyone, her heart suddenly tightened. Ever since that expert appeared, she knew that the children's hiding place had been exposed, and the thing she feared the most had probably happened. Just then, De Huang, with his keen sense of smell, suddenly looked into the distance and exclaimed, My lord, look over there, the waves are tumultuous, and it seems there are 3 children's figures in there. Mu Qianyu was immediately stunned. Strange, there shouldn't be an ocean here. Am I seeing things? But those are clearly my children. Shocked, she immediately dashed towards the area of the raging waves. Mu Qianyu was terrified. Anyone capable of conjuring that illusory sea was undoubtedly a peerless expert, and her child had already been drawn into it. She dashed forward with desperate urgency. Pop! In the next instant, she seemed to pierce through a fragile bubble. With a soft, delicate sound, everything before her eyes vanished instantly. Where had the vast, surging ocean gone? All that remained was a tranquil lake, its surface shimmering beneath the light, occasionally rippling as fish leapt from the water. And the 3 children strolled leisurely beside their father along the lakeshore, each clutching a small bucket brimming with tiny fish and shrimp. Mu Qianyu froze in astonishment. What on earth was happening? Amid her shock, relief finally settled over her. Her children were unharmed. Papa, papa, papa. I'm not done playing yet. Papa, that little golden dragon slipped right into my body. Papa, when can we play again? The three cherubic children lingered in delight, reluctant to let go. But Long Che did not wish Mu Qianyu to witness their unrestrained exuberance. Children, your mother has returned. Shall we take today's bounty to show her? Yay? Yay. Hee hee. I caught the most fish today. Big sister, I even captured a giant sea turtle. Don't forget to tell mother about it. We all helped release the giant sea turtle back home. As they spoke, a graceful figure materialized before them. Mu Qianyu herself. Mother, you're back. Look, this is the fish I caught. This whole bucket is full of fish, I reeled in myself. Mother, brother even caught a giant sea turtle. But we set it free. We're so amazing, aren't we? Gazing upon the three cherubs, Mu Qianyu gently stroked their little heads, and only then did her heart truly settle. The vision she'd just witnessed still gnawed at her spirit. She even doubted whether this serene scene before her was merely another illusion. Marvelous. Are these all your catches? Absolutely splendid. My children are truly extraordinary. Her joy kindled theirs. Praise bloomed like sunlight upon young blossoms. Long Che watched silently, while Mu Qianyu turned toward him, brows furrowed. Long Che, have you been concealing something from me? The matter of the safety talisman was simply too preposterous. She now suspected he was an unfathomable peerless master deliberately performing a charade before her. What matter? The safety talisman. I expect an explanation. Oh, the safety talisman. Ha ha ha. In truth, it is a supreme artifact forged by my own hands. I am in fact a legendary sovereign cultivator. Thus, even my talismans possess unimaginable transcendent powers. Yes, that is precisely how it stands. His words bore no trace of falsehood. Indeed, he spoke with startling candor. Yet his demeanor betrayed no hint of a sovereign master. Rather, he resembled nothing more than a lowly mountain guard servant. So feeble, he couldn't even qualify as an outer sect disciple of the Heavenly Demon Sect, merely a boastful mortal. Mu Qianyu said nothing, merely rolled her eyes and scooped up Chong Lu. Let's go. Time to stew the... She refused to believe the talisman had been crafted by Long Che. At best, it must be a relic from some immortal's abandoned cave abode, gifted to her by him. Long Che, knowing she disbelieved him, smiled faintly, lifted the two daughters, and followed her home. Before the cave residence, Xiao Huang trembled violently at the entrance. 5 meters away, directly at the threshold, lay another Xiao Huang, a puppy newly emerged from the beast-taming garden where Long Che had kept it confined. A narrow fissure existed in the garden wall. Only this tiny pup could squeeze through. Until now, Long Che had carefully avoided bringing the three children or Mu Qianyu there, fearing they might uncover something. Yet today, inexplicably, the pup had wriggled out once more, and now lay sprawled before the cave entrance, reducing Xiao Huang to quivering paralysis, frozen stiff with terror. To Xiao Huang, this was no ordinary dog. It was Qiongqi, a divine beast bearing the purest ancestral bloodline. At the sight of Long Che's family returning, he staggered forward like a drowning man grasping salvation, his legs buckling beneath him. Elder, I shall remain outside. He addressed these words to Long Che. Having witnessed Mu Qianyu's clash with Yuxia, Xiao Huang now understood her strength. Yet only a master powerful enough to tame Qiongqi could possibly command such a divine beast, and that master was unmistakably Long Che, not Mu Qianyu. In that instant, certainty crystallized within him. Long Che was no mere cultivator. He was a hidden godlike sovereign. If you have no further business here, you may withdraw. Oh, and take these two fish with you. Long Che saw no reason to retain a useless earthen dragon, especially one so thoroughly outmatched by a mere puppy lying on the ground. So he offered 2 fish and dismissed him. Hearing this, Mu Qianyu said nothing, cradling Chong Lu as she entered the cave residence first. Yet, at the very threshold, an inexplicable chill swept up from beneath her feet. Her beautiful eyes flickered with alarm as she glanced toward the puppy lying motionless on the floor, but discerning nothing, she hurried swiftly inside. Long Che observed the moment and strode over, delivering a swift kick to the pup's rump. You little rascal, learn your lesson. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The pup yelped shrilly as though its tail had been slammed in a door, then scurried into a corner to cower silently. Xiao Huang stood utterly dumbfounded, yet simultaneously certain Long Che was indeed a hidden celestial sovereign. Only such a being would dare kick Qiongqi itself. He wasted no time hesitating. When a peerless sovereign commanded departure, obedience was not optional. To linger risked death without warning. He fled, even stumbling as he went. And when he glimpsed the 2 fish Long Che had bestowed upon him, his gait twisted further, nearly collapsing under the weight of sheer disbelief. Those were no ordinary fish. They were drowned aquatic demons. Had they still drawn breath, he would have released them immediately, certainly never dared consume them. Suppressing his mounting dread, he prostrated himself before the cave entrance in deep reverence. then fled to a secluded, desolate mountain staring at the two fish with trembling excitement. Since they are already deceased supreme aquatic demons, I may savor them fully. Consuming them will surely elevate my cultivation. After all, even 2 minor spirit pills elevated me straight to the second rank profound emperor realm. These demons' essence holds transformative power beyond measure. Upon entering the cave residence, Mu Qinyu still felt lingering unease. The sudden nameless chill had unsettled her deeply. Even as Long Che stepped inside, she instinctively drew nearer to him. "My lady, what troubles you?" Noticing her tension, Long Che asked deliberately. "Nothing, I think. I was startled by the dog at the entrance. I've never liked dogs." Just then Chong Lu, who knew not when he'd slipped away, had already retrieved the puppy huddled in the corner and carried it inside, walking straight to Mu Qianyu's side with wide, guileless eyes. "Mother, look how adorable this little dog is. Feel its fur, it's so soft." In that instant, Mu Qianyu's entire body prickled with goose flesh. She recoiled with a sharp gasp, darting behind Long Che and gripping his waist tightly. Feeling Mu Qianyu holding him tightly, Long Che realized she was truly afraid of the dog. "Son, your mother is scared of dogs. Let's not frighten her, okay? Boys shouldn't frighten girls, you know." Hearing this, Chong Lu was a bit puzzled. His little hand stroking little Yellow's head, he murmured to himself, "Clearly puppies are so cute. Why is mother afraid? Then I'll take it outside to play." With that, he carried the puppy out. At that moment, the sisters Baiji and Zissou were pulling fish out of a small bucket one by one, counting as they went. 1, 2, 3, 8, 5, 12. Long Che listened to the numbers, frowned, and tilted his head to look at Mu Qianyu behind him. "This math, did you teach them?" Mu Qianyu shot him a glare, but then shyly lowered her head. "Holding me so tight, are you planning never to let go in this life?" Hearing this, Mu Qianyu's hand suddenly withdrew. "But I intend to hold you for a lifetime," Long Che said, turning around and pulling Mu Qianyu into his arms. "You? Lecher." The words were filled with feigned anger, but lacked conviction. Having done such wild things before, and with their 3 children already so grown, getting angry over a hug seemed unjustified, didn't it? Somehow this question arose in Mu Qianyu's mind. "Let me go, little brat." After a moment of fluster, she finally found an excuse. After all, she was over 100 years old enough to be Long Che's grandmother. What she didn't know was that in terms of seniority, Long Che was actually the grandfather. He had attained the realm of immortals hundreds of years ago. How could Mu Qianyu pretend to be elderly in front of him? Wasn't that ridiculous? However, he didn't explain. "What's the matter? You get to enjoy a younger partner, and still you're dissatisfied." Mu Qianyu was momentarily speechless. At this moment, the 3 little ones saw the two being so affectionate. They curiously walked over to watch the scene, and even asked, "What are Dad and Mom doing? Do adults also need kisses, hugs, and being lifted up? Why is Mom's face so red?" Mu Qianyu was already embarrassed to show anger in front of the children, and now hearing these questions, she felt utterly humiliated. Long Che, however, knew when to stop. Such matters had to be taken slowly, or else it might cause aversion. He released Mu Qianyu and changed the subject. "Wife, how did the trip go? Do you need to go out again?" Upon hearing this question, the flush on Mu Qianyu's face slowly faded. Originally, she didn't want to answer such questions from Long Che, as telling him would be of no use. Yet somehow at this moment, she felt the urge to confide. "It seems things are not as simple as I imagined. The person I'm looking for I haven't found." Long Che smiled. "Who are you looking for? Do you want my help? You've never even left this barren mountain. How would you know?" Mu Qianyu sighed and then asked, "But I'm curious, where did you get that safety talisman?" "I made it myself, and I've made many more. Do you want some, wife?" Hearing this, Mu Qianyu frowned. "You made it, and made many more." Long Che walked over to a wooden cabinet and pulled out a drawer. "Look, this whole drawer is full. If it's not enough, I'll make more. As many as you want. I have to spoil my own woman like this." He was determined to spoil this woman like a little princess. He wanted to make up for the 5 years he hadn't been by her side. But at this moment, Mu Qianyu didn't feel like a princess at all. Instead, she was stunned, speechless. Her beautiful eyes swept over the drawer of safety talismans. These were all made from extraordinary immortal wood, each one genuine, all possessing the powerful energy to swallow wolves and drive away tigers. A drawer of nearly 100. Was this still human? "You? How did you manage this? These talismans? Did you really make them all?" A huge question mark rose in her heart. Her beautiful eyes fixed on Long Che's eyes, trying to see through him. "Yes, of course. What else?" Long Che shrugged, looking relaxed and composed. But Mu Qianyu still stared into his eyes, checking if he was lying. Under her gaze, Long Che smiled and explained, "Actually, it's quite simple. If you want to learn, wife, I can teach you. There's a forest in the valley. The trees there can all be used to make safety talismans." Hearing this, Mu Qianyu frowned again. There must be some secret. Surely it was the unique conditions here that allowed Long Che to do such an incredible thing. "A forest? Where is it? I want to see it." She was eager to investigate. "Dad, I'm hungry. I want to eat fish." At that moment, Changla's voice came over. Long Che immediately said, all right, Dad, we'll cook fish right now. Do you want braised or steamed? Braised. Dad, I want steamed. I want both. Dad, will make it now. You guys play with Mom first. Long Che said, then looked at Mu Qianyu. The kids are hungry. After we eat, I'll take you to the woods. With that, he went to cook. Originally, he enjoyed experimenting with food when bored. Now with 3 children, he was even more dedicated and his culinary skills improved rapidly. Soon the aroma wafted out. Braised, steamed, sweet and sour fish. He made 8 dishes in one go. So delicious. I love sweet and sour fish the most. Dad's cooking. He'll never get enough of it. Huh. You're so young and already know about a lifetime. Of course. Dad, I want to be with Dad forever. Yes, and your mother too. Our family will be together forever. Dad, some kids have grandparents. Where are my grandparents? Suddenly Baiji asked this question, startling Long Che. He thought for a moment and then said, your grandparents. They will come to visit us in a while. Then 3 generations together. It will definitely be lively. Hearing this, the 3 little ones danced with joy. After the meal, Baiji even took the lead in preparing gifts for the grandparents. Your parents? Are they really coming? Mu Qianyu asked a bit sheepishly. Yes, doesn't the Demon Sect have a rule that the parents of sect disciples can also visit here? Mu Qianyu suddenly became nervous. Although there had been no wedding ceremony, the children were already so big. Long Chi's parents were the children's grandparents, and her parents Sin-law. If they came, she couldn't just hide and not see them. But for her, a centenarian, to meet parent Sin-law young, she really didn't know how awkward it would be. What's wrong? Is my wife afraid of meeting her in-laws? Long Che teased. I'm not afraid. Then would my wife like to practice first? Practice what? For example, practice how to address me. How do I practice? First call me husband. Behave yourself, would you? Mu Qianyu shot him a sharp, reproachful glance. What's so improper about it? Am I not your husband? Long Chi's retort left Mu Qianyu momentarily speechless. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yet she still longed to argue back. I've never acknowledged you as my husband. At best, you're merely the father of our children. Is there any difference? There is. Fine. Whatever my lady says goes. But tell me, what shall I call you? Long Che. Just call me by my name. That suits perfectly. Indeed it does, Qianyu. You. Mu Qianyu's heart fluttered at the sudden intimate use of her given name. For years she had forgotten who last addressed her so tenderly. Perhaps it was her long-vanished parents, faded deep into the recesses of memory. What's wrong? Is calling you by name forbidden? Then I'll revert to my lady. It's what I'm used to. His words once again rendered her speechless. With a stomp of her foot she declared, do as you please. Then blushing she turned and walked away. Seeing their 3 little ones diligently preparing gifts for grandfather and grandmother, she doubled back. Long Che, take me to that grove of trees. Call me husband. Whoosh. No sooner had Long Che spoken than Mu Qianyu vanished from where she stood, and reappeared an instant later, her fingers already clamped tightly around his ear. Are you coming, or not? Going, I'm going. Ouch. That's more like it. At the threshold, concern for the children tugged at her, so she wove a subtle restriction seal across the cave mouth, sealing it securely before breathing easy. My lady, that seems rather excessive. Why not simply lock the door? Long Che strode forward and lightly pressed a tortoise-patterned stone embedded in the cliff face. A soft rumbling echoed. Then with a thunderous groan, a massive stone gate rolled forth from within the rock wall, wreathed in swirling arcane energy. Waves of overwhelming spiritual pressure surged outward like a churning sea of qi, so fierce that Mu Qianyu instinctively staggered backward, eyes wide with astonishment. My lady, what's the matter now? Long Che asked, utterly nonchalant, paying no heed to the awe shimmering in her beautiful eyes. Such astonishment must be endured. How else could she truly follow her husband, come heaven or hell? After all, as the consort of the Supreme Sovereign Lord, she would inevitably embrace a life far beyond the ordinary. Yes, Long Che intended to gradually awaken her sense of wonder day after day, year after year, until it became second nature. The mountain path from their abode to the small grove was short, but Long Che strolled leisurely, moving as though he were an ordinary mortal. Even when Mu Qianyu offered to carry them both aloft, he declined. Why rush? True contentment lay in savoring each quiet moment, not racing through life in frantic haste. As Long Che and Mu Qianyu wandered side by side along the rugged mountain trail, drinking in the tranquil beauty of the landscape, the Lord He mentioned by the Earth Dragon was hurtling across 10,000 miles of rivers and mountains, gripping a captive figure in his grasp, bound for the imperial city of the Dongwang Emperor at the very heart of the Tianqian Eastern Realm. A streak of black light slashed across the heavens. Lord He, a latest-stage second-rank arcane emperor, provoked relentless pursuit by a host of mighty demons. When he finally located the great Yin ancestor, intending to present him as tribute to the Dongwang Emperor, demons from other domains materialized en masse, each vying for glory and reward. Who was the Dongwang Emperor? The most formidable sovereign across the entire Tianxian Eastern realm, whose mere footfall sent tremors rippling across 10,000 miles of territory. To assist him in this endeavor would surely yield immense favor. Thus, though Lord He held the great Yin ancestor captive, he fled in desperate panic, his path harried by great demons erupting from forests and peaks alike, all hungering to seize this plump morsel. Halt! Leave that old man behind. Crack, crack, crack. Suddenly lightning split the horizon, thunder roared across the sky. Again, fools, daring death. Murderous intent contorted Lord He's bear-like visage. His body radiated surging blood chi. He had long since fought his way into a crimson frenzy. Even the mighty demon now looming ahead, the six-pronged thunder beast master of lightning itself, failed to daunt him in the least. Boom. Without hesitation, the bear panda demon lashed out with a colossal claw, aiming to shatter the opponent's thunderous barrier. A tsunami of demonic energy erupted, within which loomed a titanic spectral bear claw, its barbed talons stretching 100 zhang long. Where it passed, the thunder barrier shattered with deafening cracks, exploding into chaotic disarray. The six-pronged thunder beast roared in agony as the blow struck, its massive frame convulsing midair like a colossal bronze gong, unleashing torrents of blinding lightning. Its radiance burned like a sovereign sun, scorching the very air into acrid smoke. Release me, please. Trapped within a cocoon of demonic energy, the great Yin ancestor wailed in terror, his eyes wide with unadulterated dread. Though himself a formidable arcane emperor, against these two titans he possessed no strength to fight, nor could he break free from the demonic seal binding him, even as Lord He waged battle. In peril, time stretched thin, as if every heartbeat dragged on interminably. The six-pronged thunder beast's assaults grew fiercer with each strike. This was its nature. After unleashing 6 devastating arcs of lightning, it would collapse into exhaustion. Before those final 6 strikes detonated, it had to obliterate its foe, or face annihilation itself. The bear panda demon's hide was thick, its flesh resilient. Each lightning arc it absorbed with brute force demonic resilience. Even the great Yin ancestor, caught at the storm's epicenter, remained unharmed, shielded by Lord He's unwavering defense. This feat eased the great Yin ancestor's fears just slightly. After all, if Lord He could shield him, what fate awaited him in the jaws of rival demons? Yet he remained utterly bewildered as to why these demons coveted him so fiercely. The only plausible explanation was that the legendary Dongwang Emperor, whose name echoed across the Eastern realm, truly sought him. But why would such an exalted sovereign fix his gaze upon him? No answer came, not even after racking his mind to exhaustion. Boom. The final lightning arc blazed across the noonday sky, a searing, soul-chilling brilliance. Its raw explosive force hurled the bear panda demon back 100 zhang, while the great Yin ancestor was flung headlong like a discarded sack, crashing to earth, drenched in blood, bones snapping under the impact, shattered beyond count. Roar. Though battered and winded, the bear panda demon planted its feet firmly on the ground, and seeing the six-pronged thunder beast enter its vulnerable recovery phase, lunged forward without pause. Weakened in its respite, the six-pronged thunder beast lasted only a few breaths against the bear panda demon's frenzied assault, before exploding violently into a shower of lightning, vanishing in an instant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Gasping heavily, the bear panda demon raised its head and roared toward the heavens, a sound so terrifying that demons across hundreds of li trembled in fear. Those lurking predators dared not emerge. Yet just as it lifted the great Yin ancestor to depart, a colossal shadow descended from the heavens, blotting out the sun, and crushed its massive form into pulp beneath an unstoppable world-ending blow. The mountains trembled and all beasts lay still. A hurricane whirled fiercely, sending sand and stones flying. Soon silence enveloped the area, with only faint footsteps echoing from where the great Yin ancestor stood. A figure of a woman dressed in a bright red gown approached, her nearly perfect form captivating. For a moment, the great Yin ancestor forgot the pain of his broken bones, his old eyes filled with complex emotions. Behind this enchanting woman were 9 swaying tails, fluffy and shimmering with a layer of ethereal demon aura in the golden sunlight. Her pointed ears twitched, and suddenly she turned to glance behind the great Yin ancestor. Are you still trying to steal my prey? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as the question dropped, the panicked sounds of fleeing demon beasts echoed, quickly falling silent once again. The woman approached the great Yin ancestor, her alluring face revealing a hint of confusion. Old man, you have quite the capability to make that Eastern Wilderness Emperor pay such close attention to you. Tell me, what is your extraordinary talent? The great Yin ancestor sensed the astonishing demonic aura radiating from the woman, and upon seeing her 9 tails instantly realized she was a transformed 9-tailed fox, causing his heart to tremble with fear. Thud! The great Yin ancestor fell to his knees, trembling all over. My lady, please spare me. I truly know nothing. I am just the mere leader of the Blood Moon Cave. I have no idea what has disturbed the esteemed Eastern Wilderness Emperor. He cried, his heart breaking. What hope did he have in the hands of a group of demon beasts? Hearing this, the woman shook her head. Impossible, you must have some secret. You may choose not to speak, but your life and death are in your own hands. As the words fell, the 9 tails behind the woman instantly transformed into 9 long swords surrounding the great ancestor from all directions, their cold blades nearly piercing him through. Before the woman, all of the great ancestor's strength felt as fragile as tofu. She was so powerful that he couldn't discern her cultivation level. My lady, I truly do not know. Thud. A sharp blade pierced directly through his thigh. Oh, my lady, I truly don't know why the Eastern Wilderness Emperor is looking for me. Thud. Another thigh was pierced. The great ancestor howled incessantly, his voice resembling that of a slaughtered pig. I truly do not know, I really do not know. Thud, thud, thud. The woman showed no signs of mercy, with several swords embedding themselves in the great ancestor's flesh, the last sword's tip directly stabbing into his throat. This is your last chance to save your life, manage it well. Her voice was indifferent, devoid of any emotion. My lady, even if you kill me, I do not know. The great ancestor, who had previously wanted to cry, now just wanted to die. As the leader of the Blood Moon Cave, one of the 36 leaders under the sun of the evil god, he had never been so humiliated in his life. The key was that he had no idea how he had offended this group of super demon beasts. But even in death, he could not close his eyes. Thud, thud, thud. In the next moment, a series of thud sounds came, and the great ancestor saw the long swords that had pierced his arms and thighs suddenly being retracted. The woman seemed to have let him go. Forget it, I initially wanted to extract some information from you, but it seems you truly do not know. Come follow me to the Imperial City. As she spoke, a mist of demonic energy appeared out of nowhere, enveloping the great ancestor, and their figures disappeared without a trace. In the Immortal Wood Forest. When Long Che brought Mu Qianyu to the edge of the forest, she could not move any further. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief, even a sense of unreality, as if she were walking in a dream. My Heavenly Demon Sect has been established for over 1,000 years, yet I never discovered such an immortal forest and divine trees hidden within these desolate mountains. What on earth is going on? Could it be that I am dreaming? Long Che, pinch me. My lady, do you enjoy being hurt? Stop talking nonsense, just pinch me. All right. Harder. Ouch, it hurts. This is real, everything is real, I am not dreaming. Once she confirmed that she was not dreaming, Mu Qianyu was utterly exhilarated. Of course, in front of Long Che she still needed to appear calm, but deep inside her soul waves of excitement surged, and she was already planning how to reasonably develop and utilize this piece of immortal wood to turn the Heavenly Demon Sect into the top power of the entire Tianxian continent. My lady, did I hurt you? I will be gentler. Hearing this, Mu Qianyu looked at Long Che, finding his words quite strange. All right, you don't need to pinch me anymore. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Dreaming? How could this be a dream? My lady, what you said is quite strange. Mu Qianyu glanced at him and suddenly laughed. You are just an ordinary person knowing nothing. My lady, then what exactly should I understand? Teach me. Mu Qianyu originally wanted to say something, but suddenly realized that although she could tell that this forest was full of immortal, which she did not know what species they were, nor could she name them. So she suddenly became humble. Actually, I don't understand either. For example, I still need to explore the names of these trees and their uses. Long Che, upon hearing this, smiled. So that's what my lady meant. Then I understand. I will teach you. Look at this tree, doesn't it resemble a dragon? This tree is called the coiling dragon camphor. And this one next to it is impressive. It took about 300 years to grow to the thickness of an arm. This is imperial blossom pear wood. Extremely precious objects carved from it are worth a fortune. And this tree is the 9 nether immortal peach. It can take root in the depths of the 9 nether. Peach wood can dispel evil, and even the spirits of the dead beneath the 9 nether must retreat 3 steps when they see it. And this one? Long Che continued introducing each tree. However, Mu Qianyu frowned. The biggest fool was actually me. This is too embarrassing. You are genuinely making others feel anxious. Mu Qianyu didn't even listen to what Long Che was saying, her heart filled with guilt. Just now she thought he was a clueless fool now. But after feeling guilty, a strong sense of curiosity arose. Who exactly is this guy? How does he know so much? I have traveled far and wide and seen much, yet I do not know these trees. Wait, could it be that he is just making things up? Some men enjoy making up stories to impress girls. Could this Long Che be one of those? Not likely. Then let me test him. Long Che, didn't you say you made those talismans? How about you help me make one? I want to learn. Sure, then my lady, choose a tree. Pick whichever one you like. Hearing this, Mu Qianyu became unreserved and directly pointed at a branch of a coiling dragon wood and said, this one. All right. As Long Che spoke, he took out an axe from a tree hole at the base of a nearby tree and swung it down at the coiling dragon. Seeing this, Mu Qianyu was stunned. This is an immortal wood. They said just a branch would suffice. Are you really going to cut down the whole tree? Wasteful.